'cause I'm a wheelborn baby. Always burn down the road. Yeah, I'm a wheelborn baby. Always burning down the road. I'm a wheelborn baby. This life never gets old. Come on, wheel burners, yeah, burn with me. Come on, wheel burners, yeah, burn with me. Oh, take a ride now on the Wheelburner Express. Yeah, Wheelburner Express, baby.
Whew. Good morning. Let me get one more mouthful of this. You like my nice is my nice lady cup, my nice lady coffee cup. Victoria took a few years ago took a nice trip. She went to Europe for about a month and a bit, traveled all around, and she came back with like mementos and souvenirs and shit like that. And I guess this one is for, I didn't really look at this. This one's from Paris. So this cup, I'm assuming, came from Paris, France. Doesn't make the coffee taste any better, though. Let me tell you that. I'm responsible for the coffee in this house. Coffee falls on me. So, what's going on this morning? It's Sunday morning, boys and girls. Well, we got all boys in here so far. Sunday morning. What's everybody doing? Well, Sunday is Sunday afternoon for Crag Rat and Tyke. Good to see you, Tyke. Good to see you, Crag Rat. TJ, always a pleasure, man. Damn good to see you. Bobby Kohler came in first. Good to see you, Bobby. Don't see Bobby around much. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he's been. I don't, mind you, I'm not on everybody else's lives like I used to be anymore. I watch Best and I watch a couple others, but I watch other people that aren't trucking related that really wouldn't be in the genre that we're in. So you know, if there's a lot of people that I used to see and used to talk to and used to associate with, I don't see them as much anymore. And again, that's on me because I'm just not out there as much as I used to. I found that you know, I don't need to run my life around YouTube. Really, I don't. It's a nice hobby to have, and it's fun to do. But you know, I don't need to be looking at my bloody phone every 90 seconds to see who's live, who's not live, what's going on, who's this, who's that. What's going on there, boys? Tennessee, good to see you. Good to see you. Saw that quick live you did was it yesterday? You're booting around with the old man in the truck. That's pretty fucking cool. In the car, so that was pretty fucking cool, dude. That was pretty cool. It was actually that was actually cool. You showed him at one point. You showed up. You threw the camera on the old man there, and it was really good to see. You can see the resemblance between you and your dad. So at least we can honestly say, like, you're a bit of a mutt now, Tennessee, but at least when you get you know, add another 25 years to you, you're gonna be a damn good looking dude. Tell your father I said that. Anyway, everybody's just saying hi. We're just gonna give it a few more minutes. My algorithm is still stunted because of the strike I took last week. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. So the notifications are not really going out there. It is Sunday morning, and I just got the notification that Shannon Thomas went live. If you guys don't feel much like trucking and you want a good spiritual kick in the ass, go on over and see Shannon. I'm sure she'll be happy to oblige you there. One good thing, well, not one good thing, there's many good things about Shannon Thomas, but one thing that I really enjoy when I watch her is that by the end of the live, you can't be in, if you're in a bad mood when you start watching her, by the time you're done, you're in a pretty good mood. She's got a way of just kind of, working through different topics, but there's always something positive that comes out of it. And I really like that. I really like that. There's been a couple of times, whether I've been at home here or whether I've, months ago when I was driving or even sitting around, if I'm in a foul mood, I can probably count on Shannon. And if I'm in a real foul mood, usually it's about that time there's a spiritual connection between Shannon and I. If I kind of go missing for a while, or I don't show up, or I just go quiet, you know how I do that once in a while. My phone will ring, and the first thing, like I'll see her name and I'll pick up the phone, and the first words out of her mouth are, she screams into the phone like, "Good morning, sweetheart." It's like, holy shit, Shannon. Like, all right, I'm awake. I'm alive. What do you want? And then I will get a 2-hour spiritual uplifting. My name is Optimus Prime. Cena Amma, good to see you. Thanks for popping in here. More like Win a Lot Prime. Wine a Lot Prime. Oh, what are we talking about here? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just bouncing back and I've got a couple of screens here and I'm just messing around with this still. So just bear with me. I like the new setup that we've got going here. We're going to change obviously the background, and we're going to change the things, and we're going to move some things around to make this a more of an intimate setting instead of just me sitting here like this and that behind me in a wall. But just kind of, I'm still kind of learning, and I'm still trying to figure out a couple of things. So I want to start doing topics, but don't want to steal your gig, dude. There's no, I don't have the patent on anything. Tennessee, do topics. You've noticed over the last week or so, I've started doing that again. I'm just not opening it up for everybody to come in and we're just going to shoot the shit and talk about anything and bounce off the comments. Yesterday, for the first probably hour of the live, we talked trucking, and we talked trucks and stats and numbers and math, and we did all of that. And there's a bunch of truckers that are following me, and they're still in here, and their input coming back on the comments was absolutely excellent. I can tell by fact right now that there's TJ's in here, trucker, Crag Rat trucker, Tyke trucker. Tyke's, I guarantee you, Tyke's probably left. He's gone over to see Shannon, but it's not because Tyke's not gone over to see Shannon because he wants a spiritual lifting. He wants a lifting of some other sort from Shannon. It ain't gonna happen, Robert. It ain't gonna happen if you're still watching. Yeah, so Tennessee, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. None of us on YouTube have the market cornered on anything. If you want, dude, you can sit there and do a live about me. I don't care. I don't own anything. So you want to pick topics, pick topics. All I'll say to you, and this is just from experience, is whatever topics you've picked, or whatever topic you want to talk about, or whatever lane or road you want to walk down that day, make sure you do a little bit of research, my friend. Do a little bit of research. You don't have to be an expert on the topic by any means, and I'm not an expert on anything. But you better know something, because if you don't, and it's happened to me multiple times, if you don't know what you're talking about, or if you say something that's incorrect or wrong, the chat has no problem correcting you. Okay. And if the chat doesn't correct you, then it's I get emails. I'll get an email, or I will, for example, the other day, I'll give you this example. It's on my channel. You can actually go look at it. You can go look at it. I was talking about North Korea, and I was talking about things and this and that in North Korea. And you know what? Some of the shit I was talking about, I was talking that I thought I knew about. I was wrong. There were some things that were absolutely wrong. What I was saying wasn't even close to being the fact, and I got corrected. And not only did I get corrected, I got corrected well. And funny enough, the person that corrected me was actually my mother-in-law, and if she's telling me something, usually I will listen to it. So it was ironic that not for and on top of that, I can't even believe she watches it or watched it. So good on her. And if she's watching right now, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for the correction, because there was I think there was about 4 or 5 points that I had made about North Korea, and you know what? I was wrong on a couple of them, and the correction was, and I'm not going to go through it now, but if you go on that live, I think it was 2 lives ago, into the comments, you'll see a comment from Marie, and sure as shit, all of the things that I said wrong, all of the corrections were in there, and they were fact. Like you can't debate that. Tennessee, do it this way. I've tried to email that email address, and you didn't get my email. So here, instead of me emailing you, why don't you email me? My email address is wheelburnerexpress@gmail.com. All one word, right? Wheelburnerexpress. Same as the title, same as the name, whatever, like that. You email me, and I'll get the message, I'll get the email, and then I can reply to you, because as I said before, I've tried multiple times to email you to that address, and you're not getting them. So I got out of customs, arson tact, got to the drop in slow, and everyone had gone home, not back till 6 a.m. Monday. Dude, you're not having a good day here, right? You're really not having. Well, actually, this is. I hope, Robert. I hope you're paid by partial hour, or I don't know how you're paid, dude. But for the amount of time that you've got on this load, or the guy that owns your truck, for the amount of time he's got on this load, I hope he got a really good rate on it, because not you yourself personally, but it looks, by the sounds of it, it looks like a 2-day trip has turned into a 5-day trip. So somebody's eaten 3 days worth of 3 days worth of rate. So hopefully you did okay on that, or at least your boss did. Tyke just got given a set of original 1965 Triumph Bonneville badges. 1965 Triumph Bonneville. I can't picture that, Crag Rat, but he's going to send, watch this, any second now, on my phone, here comes a picture of a 65 Bonneville. In Canada and the US, when we think of Bonnevilles, we think of Pontiacs, right? Everybody knows what a Pontiac Bonneville is, right? They were great big land yachts, right? And they had 305s and 350s in them, and we used to use them in high school. There was a couple of guys in high school that had those old Bonnevilles, and we used to use them to see how many people we could cram. We were trying to set records every couple of months, see how many people we could cram into a Pontiac Bonneville. I don't remember what the number was, but it was absolutely ridiculous. By the time you opened all 4 doors, people were just falling out all over the place. And that doesn't include how many people I know for a fact you can get four full-size guys my size, right? I've been the same size since I was like 17 or 18. I know you can get 4 guys my size, 6'2" at 200 pounds. You can get 4 of us into a Bonneville trunk. Now I never got in the truck or in the trunk, but I do know by experience who was in the trunk. None of the women want to get into the trunk. I wonder why that is. I could never figure that out. Tori, good to see a nice hat. You like that? You like that? I just picked this one up. It's just I'm just wearing it's just a ball cap. I'm wearing a base backwards, but I picked this up about 2 weeks ago. This one. And I'm trying my best, because I'm not good with white, and I'm trying my best to keep it clean. So I've just been wearing it for the lives, and otherwise it'll hang right up there. But yeah, I was worried about the glare being white, and with the white, and worried about the glare. So I've got another hat right here on standby in case this one didn't this one didn't work out. So okay, let's just check and see if there it is. Tennessee TV. Okay, I now have your email. Okay, so I just replied to it. I just put a couple of little like that, just so just tell me if you've got it. If you've got it, then we're all walking down the same road here. Woo wee, are we glowing in white, my fella? Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, I don't usually wear white. I'm not a white guy. Usually, if I'm if I'm wearing white, it's usually I'm dressed up or something like that. But um, I'll be honest with you, I am a messy eater, and I don't know how it is. You can give me a cookie, like an Oreo cookie, and somehow or another, something will end up on my shirt or on my hat, or I don't have a goddamn clue. So I don't mess around with that. But today I'm going the white. Got the Hellcat going, right? Got the white hat rocking. Let's go with white and see what happens here. The bean infection will spread, and I will expand my kingdom of beans, for I am the embodiment of the beans. Bean baker, have at it. Have at it. Knock yourself out. If you're gonna take over the world with beans, you go right ahead and do that. I will sit and await your arrival. See how that works out for you. Thank God it worked. Yeah. You know, Tennessee, I don't know what to tell you, man. When it comes to technology and shit like that, I really don't know what to tell you. I'm just as amazed. I'm just as amazed as anybody when I do something and it actually works. I'm just as amazed as anybody. It's like, oh, that worked. Okay. You're welcome. Like I don't have a goddamn clue half the time. 428 a mile. 373, about 350 miles driving. But how many days have you been on that load? Right? That's the thing. I'll give you $200 to microwave the phone for 30 seconds. I tell you what, Shrungy, $200 ain't going to replace the phone. So I tell you what, it's an iPhone 16. I think I paid about 15 or 14 or $1,500 for it, or something stupid like that. You throw in $1,500 and I'll happily take that phone and go throw it in the microwave for you for 30 seconds. And sure as shit, just it's like a clock. There it is. There is a Bonneville Triumph, and it is ugly as shit. Ugly as shit. It looks like an old like a 60s or 70s like Suzuki, right? Like unless you're a collector, unless you're a collector or something like that, I'm not a fan of that style. I'm not a fan of that look on the bikes. That thing's just basically forks pretty much up and down, shock suspension. That thing's a kidney killer. It's a back killer, a back breaker. So if they're worth money and they're good, then fine. But otherwise, I wouldn't ride it. Why did you say you don't like black people? Oh my God, Ice Agent. Did I say that? I think Ice Agent, you better pull the ice out of your ass and your ears. You didn't hear any such thing. Dang, that's out of my price range. Well, you know what, man? Hey, when you hit that number, you hit that price range, then let me know. Um, that's a 65 Bonneville. Yeah, well, it's a 65 piece of junk to me. The British have a different way of looking at their motorcycles. Like what they think is attractive and sexy and looks good, and um, they're not into the same style of bikes as say we are over here. They don't get me wrong, they've got Cragrat and Tyke and all. They got Harleys over there, and they've got different types of manufacturers and shit from North America and Japan over there as well. But that Bonneville, I wouldn't be caught dead on that. I wouldn't be caught dead on that, right? First of all, I'd look like a fucking monkey sitting on a skidoo. It's like you'd be like this, and I'd be way too big for that. Tyke's favorite bike, well, eh, you know what? I just don't find them to the eye. They're not appealing to the eye. They're not eye catching. They don't reach out and grab me. That's not because they're plain or bland. I do like you strip down a bike. You take an old bobber and strip it down and take everything off it and just paint it flat black or even a lightly matted black. I find that sexy. I like that. I like the way that looks. But I also like something a little lower, like that thing there. The seat and the gas tank are almost at the same level. If you slid off the seat, you'd slide right onto the gas tank, and next thing you know, you'd be sitting, you'd have a gas cap in your ass. So I'm not a big fan of that. I like the seats a little lower, a little more, I don't want to sit like this. I want to sit when I'm on my bike. I want to sit. I want to be able to relax, sit back, stretch the legs out a little bit, stretch the arms out. I don't want to sit there like I'm riding, one of those stationary bicycles, right? Where you're just like that. I don't like that look, and I don't like that feel when I'm on a bike. Buck Brown, good to see you. I love my Harley heritage. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. I know you told me one time before, but what year is that bike that you've got, Tennessee? I love the Heritage Softails, but I'm not a fan of the new ones. Right? I'm a bigger fan of the 80s and early 90s, before they when they were true Harleys. Now, and that's not to say, of course, they're true Harley. They're still Harley Davidsons today. They're true Harley. I guess they're true Harleys because I think Harley Davidson's now being made again in the United States, but I could be wrong. They have bounced around all over the goddamn place, with ownership, who's owned them, who's not owned them, where they're being made, where they're being assembled. I don't know, but I like the older ones. I like the older bikes. If you want to give me, really, if you want to throw money around, like if money wasn't an option, I'd be looking anywhere between 64 and 75 on Harleys. Triumph, not even a Triumph, an Indian. Give me an old Indian. Buck Brown will be happy to hear me say that. Probably never ever will I ever say it again, and that's first and last time. And he's probably shaking his head, going, "Did he just say that?" But I would take an older Indian. Although the one Buck's riding right now isn't really all that bad. It's not a bad looking bike. It's too small for me, but it fits. It really fits Buck well. If you look at if you know anybody that knows Buck Brown and knows how big he is, he's not a bigger guy. He's not tall. He's not wide. We've seen enough pictures of him, and we've seen enough videos of him. So for him to sit on his Scout, Tom, knock it off. I'm not looking at text messages. Just wait till I'm done here. Um, if you look at Buck, he fits the bike. And if I recall, I think he's got a Scout, um, the Indian Scout. Good looking bike. But I'd look funny as hell on it. I don't know what the one up model is, or the next model up is, or the bigger bike is. Only because I really haven't investigated or really paid any attention to it, because I'm just not an Indian guy. Yeah, that can be taken the wrong way. I'm not an Indian guy. Somebody make a short about that. I'll hear about it. It's a 2009 with 44,000 miles on it. Well, that's mileage on that is pretty good for. Actually, it's really good for a 2009. Dude, you need to start riding more. How the hell can you only have 44,000 miles on a 2009? Like, do you ever ride it? Like, what do you do? Just go up and down your driveway with it? For Christ's sake, if I had a 2009 bike, if I'd bought the bike in 2009 and I'd owned it since 2009, I tell you right now, that thing would have a whole lot more frickin' miles on it than 44,000. Here's the 22 Chief Dark Horse 116 with Lloyd's Garage updates. Nice. Nice. But again, it wouldn't fit me. Buck, if I tried to get on your bike and take it for a ride, I could take it for a ride, but I'd look silly. It would be the bike, the frame, the whole setup on the bike is just too small for me. For you, yeah, good deal. CFAT, USA is owned by Israel. Nah, keep going. Hey, mate, just letting you know that your hat is on the wrong way. Son of a bitch. You know what? You guys are pretty fucking observant this morning. I'm really glad to see that. Thanks for the tip. I'll get on that and maybe fix that a little later. The guy that I got it from had cancer, so he didn't ride much. Well, I'd be on that thing. I'd be on that thing all day long. That would be my day, because in Tennessee, where you're at, like, you guys don't get hard winters. So, like, you could probably ride that thing. What? 11 out of the 12 months of the year, right? 11 of the 12 months for where you live, Tennessee, you could be easily riding that bike, or at least I would, right? I'd be right. Even if there was a light dusting of snow, as soon as the sun came out and it melted, fuck, I'd be on the road with it, as long as you got the right gear for it. Fraser Valley, damn good to see you, man. 287. You're closing it up, eh? Every day you're closing it up just a little bit, 287 subs. So what were we at yesterday? 285. So you got two more. So you need 13. We need 13 subs for Fraser Valley to hit 300. 13 subs. There's 13 people here. All 13 of you go over and subscribe over to Fraser Valley for me. God, I hate being in YouTube jail. I really do. I really do hate this. This sucks balls badly, because there's no, until this ends, it's bullshit what YouTube does, but the rules and regulations. But until it ends, I'm sitting. No, don't get me wrong. I'll sit and talk to social. There's 12 or 13 of you in here right now. I'll talk to 12 or 13 people, but it's nicer when you've got 50 or 60 or 70 people in here, and the chat's going and you really get some good feedback and some good things. So that's okay. You 12 are good. Just keep going. Hit the like button though. Jesus Christ, hit that like button. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so do me that, would you? I'm not going to ask you for a sub, but I will ask you to hit the like. There we go. I wouldn't do it if I was you. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Squirrel, brain's gone. I'm already on to from that, whatever you're talking about, whatever comment I made, I'm probably now about 7 comments ahead. 7 comments ahead. See, my brain is moving faster than my mouth can keep up. It's a problem. The next models up are the Chieftain and the Roadmaster. I don't have, from where I am, there's an Indian dealership in Calgary. I could probably go into Calgary. It's only 45 minutes. It's only 45 minute, maybe 50-minute drive. I could probably go into Calgary and check it out and walk through the dealership and take one of these for a ride, or at least get on one in the showroom and get sized up for it. But again, they haven't really been my jam. And Buck, and a couple of you other guys know that, my deal these days is I'm on the Japanese bikes. I hate to say it, and Tennessee's sitting there right now with it rolling his eyes going, oh, fuck, really? But I have been for a while, I've had Harleys, I've had Japanese bikes. I'm all about the Japanese bikes right now. You can go buy a new or a used Suzuki, and the one I prefer is the Boulevard, or you can get the Kawasaki Vulcan. You can get that bike, and even a used one. You can get you can buy the Suzuki, and here's the thing as well. You can buy the Suzukis as well, like the Suzuki Boulevard, a 2012, 2013, even up to a 2015. I can go buy that bike with probably about 20 to 25,000 miles on it right now for $5,000 Canadian. So that's like $3,800 American. And that bike, short of tires and oil changes and just regular maintenance is going to cost me nothing for the next 10 years. I can't say that about a Harley Davidson. I don't know enough about the Indians to be able to say you won't get that kind of quality and service out of an Indian. I don't know. But I do know that, with the Boulevards and the Vulcans, which are the two that I really like, I know for a fact that I can pay five, or if I want, I can go for $8,000. I can get like a 2017 with almost no mileage on the damn thing. It's just past the break-in point. Where the hell else are you going to get? And the reliability is, I'll be riding that bike for 10 years. 10 years. So I can't say that you can get that kind of reliability, or you can get that kind of dependency out of a Harley Davidson. Even the new ones, you go buy yourself a brand new 2026 Heritage or Road King. First of all, the 2026s, especially the Road Kings in Canada, those things are north of $75,000. Are you taking a fucking mortgage out on a motorcycle? I'm not. There's no way that bike is worth $75,000. And that's just, you can go up from there. You can go up there. You can go from 75 into the $80,000, depending on whatever else you want to put on it and everything like that. They come pretty well set up for you, but you can still add or other shit to it. Are you crazy? $75,000? So American, you're probably say into the 60s. Maybe the high 50s, whatever the exchange is. I'm not paying fucking $55,000 or $60,000 American for a bike that within 5 years is going to be a boat anchor. Right? In 5 years, that Harley's going to be a boat anchor. And that's, only if I just do regular, because the goddamn thing's going to break down every second or third day. Just the quality of the build is not there anymore. The Harley Davidson is one of those companies that makes their money on their branding, and they think that they splash their big fat fucking name Harley Davidson out there, and everybody's just going to pay whatever because it's a Harley Davidson. And the market's not working like that anymore. People are not doing that. Guys my age are not doing that anymore. Years ago, we'd be riding Harleys and you'd be paying $12,000, $15,000, $16,000, whatever. And that was high back then. Nowadays, if you think for a minute, if I parked a brand new Road King in my driveway and Victoria came home, oh my God, guys, it would take months to get that boot out of my ass, because I can't justify $80,000 for a motorcycle. We're looking at a new vehicle, right? We're upgrading, we get a new vehicle. And even the vehicle that we want, right? The vehicle we want is going to come in somewhere between $70,000 and $85,000. And we're rolling our eyes going, Jesus Christ. And that's brand new. I'm not talking like a used vehicle. And that's brand new. But still, even $85,000 for a top of the line decked out SUV, those numbers are staggering. To me, they're staggering. If they're not staggering to you, you make too much money, right? But even in my case, where I can go out and buy an $80,000 car, or I can go buy a $100,000 car. That's not the problem. I can afford to buy it, and I can afford whatever. I can't justify the money for what I'm getting, right? Especially in today's day and age, you cannot justify the money for what you're getting for the buck, right? If you want bang for your buck, you're not getting it these days. You have to be very vigilant about what you're looking at and what you're buying, because I can't look at something and go, fuck that. Look in my driveway and go, that's $85,000, and you're going to pay $85,000. And by the time you drive it 12 feet off the dealership, you've already lost fucking 15% or 15 to 20% in depreciation. So now your fucking $80,000, your $80,000 vehicle is now a $65,000 vehicle, and you've only gone 12 feet off the show out of the dealership. So I can't do that. I can't justify that kind of money. That's not to say, okay, you win the lottery tomorrow and you're sitting on $30 million. I'd have a couple of nice vehicles in my driveway. Who am I kidding? I'd have a barn. right? I'd have a barn full of vehicles, but I don't have $30 million. I didn't win the lottery, and I can't justify bang for buck for putting an $80,000 vehicle in. So then what do? You got to go, okay, well, this is the vehicle I want. This is the platform I want. Now you have to start thinking, what am I willing to settle for? Okay, so if you don't buy a new vehicle, and I don't usually like to buy brand new vehicles only because of the depreciation factor. So what I try to do is if it's a, say we're buying a 2026, I'm going to hunt and find myself a lightly used 25 or a very gently used 24, with low mileage. You're still going to have warranty on it, but let somebody else eat the depreciation, right? Let somebody else eat that depreciation. Let somebody else make a dozen or so payments on the goddamn thing, because why should I do that? But then you're getting into a used vehicle, right? So do you know what the service maintenance history is on it? Do you know who drove it? Was it driven hard? Was it driven? In our case here, we're looking at SUVs. So chances are it's not, some 20-year-old kid didn't own it and wasn't racing it up and down the street. So I don't have to worry about that. But I do have to look at, okay, did this dealership where I'm buying this car, this SUV, did they pick it up from the auction? Because a lot of dealerships are now doing that, because they're, Chrysler, Dodge, and all, Dodge, GM, and Ford, even Honda, Toyota, and everything like that. They're all making their money on their used vehicle lots right now. They make more money selling used vehicles. So what they're doing is they're going to the auction and they're getting them as cheap as hell, and then they're putting them on their lot. They'll bring them in and give them their 30-point inspections, and then they'll put them on their lot and jack the price and try to get as much as they can over the auction price that they paid for it. But if you're buying your SUV or your car from a dealership, and that's what they're doing, then you know what, you have to be vigilant and go, okay, do you have any kind of history on this? Yes, you're gonna get a Carfax. Fucking anybody can get a fucking Carfax. And a Carfax doesn't tell you the whole story. I guarantee you that there's shit that can be hidden and put away. And Carfax is it's nice to have, and it's a nice, when you're selling your car, you put on the Carfax. You put the Carfax up and let them, because everybody goes, oh, do you have a Carfax? Yeah, well, I tell you what, the Carfax, there's stuff that happens to cars that the Carfax never gets onto a Carfax. So I can't justify 80 grand. So what do? You're going to buy a 25 or a 24, let somebody else eat the depreciation. Chances are you might get a little bit of a better interest rate, and you're going to pay probably $20,000 less for the car or the vehicle. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're looking at that. And the other thing is, when you get into the market, and when you're up into the market of 80, 70, 80, $90,000 vehicles, well, it's like buying big trucks. It's like buying Freightliners and Kenworths. You better have a down payment, right? You can't you're not walking in buying an $80,000 car and putting $5,000 down and financing $75,000. You're going to have a $1,500 or $1,600 a month car payment. The biggest car payment I've ever had in my entire life was $535 for a brand new vehicle, and that was the highest I've ever had. I will not walk around with a $1,500 car payment. You add another $700 to that, and that's what the payment was on my Freightliner, and that included the tax. Right? If you take the tax off, I had a $1,980 fucking truck payment. I'm not buying an SUV for this, for the same monthly payment as my truck. The truck, I don't mind, right? I can write that off. The car, I can write off a little bit of it, but not to the point where it's like, hey, this is worth it. Let's go get ourselves an $80,000 car and with a $1,500 a month payment. So that's not going to happen. How we got down that road, where we went, and how we got there, I don't have. It gets cold here to me, not Canada cold, but it hit zero a few times. I usually park it for the winter. Yeah, speaking of zero, it's -1. So it's about 30 degrees Fahrenheit here in Strathmore today. I went out, started the car. I got up this morning, went out for my smoke and everything like that, and then got Victoria up and I drove her into work. And it was 0 Celsius, which is 32 Fahrenheit. And by the time I got her to work, it was showing that it was -1 Celsius. So what's that, about 30 degrees, 29 degrees? So it was a little chilly here this morning. Still went out, sweatpants and a hoodie. You know, we're Canadian, man. We don't bundle up. If you look at me and I'm outside and it's -10, right? So let's say it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Or -10 or -15 Celsius. If you see me wearing a hoodie and everything, that's fine because I'm layered. It's not cold until you see me put a jacket on, right? And that goes for a lot of guys and girls in Canada that have worked outside for all those years. I don't put a jacket on until I get into the -20 range. I can layer myself up with just, proper shirts and whatnot and a good hoodie. I can layer myself up to the point where I don't need to be wearing a jacket till I get into the -20 range. Victoria, on the other hand, she got out of the bed this morning and she was freezing as soon as she pulled the covers over. I It was cold overnight, right? So, and it's only supposed to go up to 8 degrees Celsius today, but it was cold overnight, and we haven't turned the heat on in the house yet. So, for the last couple of days, it's been cold, and we've just been living on what the heat in the house is or whatever. Well, this morning it was a little too much. I came downstairs, and the thermostat said 17 degrees Celsius, and that's a little bit chilly when you're standing there in your Spider-Man underwear, right? So we actually have broke down, and actually, I didn't break down. She was having no part of it, right? So she was cold. So she reaches over onto the nightstand, grabbed her phone, turned. Next thing you know, the heat and everything comes on in the house. And usually myself, um, I don't turn the heat on till the 1st of November, right? And the kids would complain, Dad, it's cold. Put on a sweater. Dad, I'm still cold. Put on a jacket. Like I would not, just because I'm cheap, right? I'm not paying for heat in October. But in this case here, there's no kids and I've got a woman. So what am I going to turn? What am I going to turn to Victoria and say, put on a sweater? She's going to grab her phone and turn the heat on. What am I going to do? Right. That's an argument that I'm going to lose. And not only am I going to lose, I'm going to lose it terribly. So I just broke down. No, I didn't break down. I just went, okay, turn the heat on. So the heat's on now, and it's I think it's about 21 in here. It's comfortable. So with all the jammering I'm doing on today, yo mums, your dad, bro, whatever. We're sitting here talking. M109R you like is about the same size as my Chief. No, it's not. No, it's not. That M109R is substantially better. Buck, I can get on that Suzuki and I can stretch right out. Right, I can stretch right out and be comfortable doing it all the way. I don't know about your Indian. Just landed in Chicago. Well, get back on the plane and leave. What the hell are you doing in Chicago, Ryan? Harley Davidson 1950s technology at 2030 prices. Yeah, no, that's pretty much where it's at. You're right. Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly just run through the comments here because my mouth went on. I'm trying to pay attention. What's up, buddy? My favorite director. Good to see you, Autoshine. I'm trying to pay attention to the chats, to chat. I really am. But I'm also trying to get away from just relying on the chat for content, right? A lot of the times you watch a lot of guys, and I've been guilty of it for a while, that you know what, you start the chat, or you start the live, you get this going, you get that going, and then it's like, hey, Tennessee, how you doing? Hey, this Craig, and you basically bounce for 3 hours off your comments. Well, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm okay with that if that's what you do. But I'm actually trying to get away from that. And let's come up with, every day when I go live every morning, I'm going to have at least a blocked off segment of just content that I'm either going to share and I'm going to talk about. And whatever I'm talking about, then you guys are free to comment on. But in doing so, while I'm commenting and when I'm talking about it, I can't really pay attention to a whole lot to the chat, and for that I apologize. I say we, like I've got a whole production staff here, and the Wheelburner Express is a great big fucking podcast studio, and I've got an engineer over here and a producer over there, and there's two people under the desk crisscrossing wires because we're blowing fuses and shit. Like when I say we, but it's just basically it's me, and I've got some help from Victoria now. Basically what I'm doing is we're going to move this from lives And I'm still going to do I'm still going to do lives. That's not a problem. But I think what I want to do is we're going to go back into more content orientated lives, meaning that I'm going to come up with, if you go back to my early days of my lives, I used to, before I go live, I'd have 3 topics that I wanted to talk about. And what it didn't matter what it was. It could have been political, it could have been trucking, it could have been whatever. But I'd have 3 comments of content that I wanted to talk about, and then I would talk about the first block, and I would probably designate, say, 15 minutes to that first block, and that's how we'd talk about it, and I'd talk about it, and you guys would make comments, and I try to get into the comments and everything like that. Now, mind you, back in those days, there was 350, 400 people in our chats. Um, right now there's 11, so it's not hard to keep track of the chats right now. When you got 300 people in here, you can't read the chat. You just absolutely can't read the chat. But that's kind of where I'm going. I'm not going to have 3 blocks of content, but every morning I'm going to come up with something, whether it be we're also going to kind of lean back to more of trucking. I'm not saying we're going to dive back in. This is just going to be strictly a trucking channel. That's not where I want to go. But I do want to lean back into that because you know what? It's a genre that I know about. It's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I love. It's something about, it's something that we can talk about, that if there's new guys and girls out there in the industry, that there's a chance, we can help these guys out. And it's not that I'm teaching. I'm not a teacher by any means, but I've done a lot, and I know a lot about the subject. And I don't know everything. So if there's something I don't know, it's one of those areas that if I don't have the answer, chances are I know the person, or I know somebody who does, and I can get you the answer. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the end all be all in trucking and I know everything, because I don't. It changes so goddamn quickly. What I know today will probably be irrelevant in 6 months. So I have to keep going back and looking and checking and following other channels. And I'll give props right now to James Best. He did a live the other day, and for the first time in a long, long, long time, we saw a vulnerable side to James, and he was just sitting on his porch, man, and he was talking about trucking, but he was talking about the mistakes that he's made, and the mistakes that he made that he doesn't want to make again. But he took ownership for it, and he didn't blame anybody else. And from somebody like me who's been following James for years, and I've watched the complete shit shows that have happened on James's channel, and back in those days as well, there was a lot of that going on our channel, complete shit shows. Right? We've had lives where people were getting freaking naked, right? But you couldn't see the nudity, but we had goofy shit going on. James has had a lot of that as well, but it was a real pleasure to watch a guy humble himself to the point where he sat there and was talking about the mistakes that he's made in trucking. He even came forth, and I won't say the names, but he actually came forth and admitted that, you know what? I've run this guy into the dirt and he didn't deserve that. I've run this guy into the dirt and he didn't deserve that. I was doing it for, my own, to make myself feel better, to build myself up. When you see a guy, especially like Best, who's got an ego bigger than mine, and that's pretty hard. When you see James Best do something like that, you pay attention. And then he kind of went into, some of the aspects of trucking, the market, the brokers, the cost of doing business, what's going on with his business. He's over the last year, he's taken an absolute shit kicking in this business. Some of it has been the business. Some of it has been people that he's trusted. That is, he got fucked. But probably a bigger portion of it has been him, and it was really good. It was a pleasure to watch somebody like that. He owned up to it. So I know James isn't watching, but if he is, and if by chance he ever watches or hears this, my hat's off to you, brother. It was a pleasure to watch you do that. It was humbling. It was fucking good, and it gave guys like me something to think about. I've been out here trucking 3 times longer than James Best has. I've been doing it way longer than he has, and it's nice to see somebody that's been in it only as long as, I think he's only been going since 2015 or something like that. But it was a pleasure to watch that for somebody like me. It just kind of reminds me that, it's not getting any better out here. It's not getting any easier out here. So hats off to you, James. Knock yourself out. You did a good job. Reagan days in the truck driving industry. Auto Shine, let me tell you, man, we're never going to see those again. We are never, ever, ever going to see those days again. Okay, the late 80s, early 90s of trucking, which is when I came, like that was my entry into it. Those days are long gone. You will never, Autoshine, you will never, ever, ever see that again. I was sitting here thinking this morning, as I was taking the dog for a walk, about some of that and what is responsible. Why are we in this position that we're in? Some of it, and some of it's our own fault. Hey, Donnie, good to see you, man. I just kaboom my parents. They see me watching this like an. Don't kaboom anybody. Stephanie, great to see you, sweetheart. How are you this morning? Good to see you. 13, not 13 too bad. 13 to go. 13 not too bad. There you go. You need 13 more. But how did we get here? And we are all so quick in the trucking industry as owner operators or business owners, or we are all so quick to blame everybody else. We're so quick to go, well, the government's changing the legislation. Well, this is this and this, it's, how about we sit back and go, the rules and regulations that have been changed, how about we take a little responsibility for that and go, we allowed it to happen, right? We allowed it to happen. We sat back while these idiots were making these rules and let it happen. And this is, and I'm going to talk primarily about Canada, because the way legislation works in the U.S., it's a little bit different, obviously. But in Canada, right, the House and everything, they have to come up with a bill, right? They have to come up with a law. They have to write the bill, and then the bill has to be passed, much like it does in the U.S. Right, but that law, before it can be passed, has to be put onto the floor and it has to be voted upon. I think that's pretty close to the way it's done in the United States as well. But what the Canadian government has done at the federal level, and they've done it at the provincial level, is some of the laws when it came to trucking. Okay, these trucking laws that have come in, they weren't voted upon properly. And they weren't presented to us. And what they did is they present a bill, a very small bill. So they'll change a law, or they'll change an existing law, or they'll create or come up with a new law, but it'll be very small enough that none of us pay any attention to it. Truck drivers are like anything else in the world. If you come in and you go and you present a bill that's this big, we're all going to see it. And we're going to go, oh, hell no, we're not putting up with that. And then there's going to be pushback, and then there's going to be that. And the legislators don't want that. So what they'll do is they'll make one little bill, and it'll just slide on through, and nobody will say a goddamn word, because it's not catching any attention. It's just a small, everybody's going, oh, well, yeah, that's really nothing. But then they'll put another one through. And by the time they've put enough of them through, okay, they've got their big block. And then all of us are going to sit back and go, well, how the hell did this happen? How did we end up in this position? How? We weren't paying attention. We allowed that to happen. And that happened several years ago in Ontario. The provincial government put some C-31 and C-26, and a bunch of these little bills went through. And by the time they were done, when they mated all those bills up together at the end, they had a fucking great big law, and it sucked balls. And it had to do with your right to protest, right? All of a sudden, you lost in Ontario, you lost your right to protest, meaning that you can be, picked up, put in jail, questioned, without being arrested or charged. Can you do that in the United States? Donnie, can you do that in the United States? Stephanie, can you do that in the United States? Tennessee, could somebody in the United States, I know it happens, but legally, can that happen? Can you be, picked up on the street, put in cuffs, taken away, put in a cell, without being charged with anything, right? Which would be sort of like in suspicion. You can't do that. They can't do that. They don't do that in the US. They do it, but they call it, they get away with shit like that all the time. But no, but they did that in Canada. But what they did is they didn't just pass one bill when it came to the protesting. What they did is they passed a bunch of little ones, teeny weeny bill here, bill here, bill here, bill here, bill. And then when you put it all together, you got one big bill, and we took a kick in the ass. And then we all screamed and went, "This isn't fair. How did this happen?" Well, you know what? We allowed it to happen. We gave away our rights, but they took them in a very slow and calculated way. I saw a name in here. Just want to say hi, of course. Joey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Express best of luck with the new format, brother. You always keeping it real. Need more of that. Be well, sir. Joey Whispers, damn good to see you, man. I would imagine. What are you doing talking to me? Aren't you? Oh, no. It's Sunday. You're not driving today. I was going to say, aren't you supposed to be driving right now? Aren't you supposed to be working? But it's Sunday. Joey, take the day off. You're allowed. You can take a day off. Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, you're probably going to do what? Something from the garage tonight. So, Joey Whispers, another channel that I follow. It's one of those, I said earlier that I don't follow a lot of guys anymore, but I do follow Joey. I follow Ernie. I follow Best. I follow other guys like that, but I don't follow a lot. But Joey is one of them. Partially, I follow Joey because he's got a great sense of humor. But on top of that, he's doing something that I used to love doing. And that's, he's got the whole setup in the truck for driving, and he's driving and talking and everything like that. He's got the setup so he doesn't have to read the comments, and it's all legal, and it's really well done, and it's really, really put together well. And it's just a pleasure to watch him work every day. Coming from a guy that doesn't work anymore. You keep going, Joey. You're doing great. When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Joe. It's a beautiful morning, Stephanie. Yeah, it is. Well, actually, it's nice, and I think it's sunny here, but it's cold as shit. They detain you in the U.S. Bernadette said, "Thanks for the comment." Hey, no problem, pops. Tanch not. Hey, sup. At what age did you realize you were gay? What age did you realize you were gay? I don't know. Why don't you tell us what age you were at? Here's the thing, and I'll say this, Tanch not, to make a comment like that is just asinine, right? You're bored, you're sitting downstairs, you're probably at the breakfast table with your mom and your little brother, and you're eating your bowl of fucking Fruit Loops, and you've got the cartoons, your cartoon magazine open over here, you've got an iPad or whatever the hell you're doing over there, and you're making a comment, and it says, you go look in the comment, you go, oh, it says Tanch not. And you look at the comment, and you go, oh, look, I wrote something and he read it. So you got your 5 minutes or 15 seconds of fame. But when you make a comment like that, you know how stupid you make yourself look? Really? Here, I'll even highlight it for you, dude. There. Do you know how fucking stupid you just made yourself look? Please. Do you think there's a single person in this chat right now that really gives a flying farkle about you or your comment? You know what? Tell you what. Go put on clean underwear today, because last night was supposed to be bath night. I'm sure your mom told you. Go put on your clean underwear, your nice set of tidy whities, and go with that. And get ready for school. It's Sunday today, so you don't have to get ready for school. So you can stay in your jammies all day today and watch cartoons. I'm telling you. Somebody said something. What? Why did they get rid of the French guy in the chat? I don't know. Are we deleting people in the chat? Are we deleting French people in the chat? Romansky. What did he say wrong, Craig Rat? What did he say wrong? There's the comment. He's probably been deleted, but why? There's nothing wrong with what he said. Thank you, sir. I need a day to watch some of my own favorites too. Well, there you go. That's kind of what I do. I won't be posting any dodgy jokes today, Brian. Just like yesterday. Yeah, yesterday it was funny, but not funny. So um, you kind of, Craig, right? You kind of know where we're going and what we're doing. So like, don't kick me in the nuts when you with your comments. Yeah, I get that. So I'm just kind of wondering why he got timed out. He only got timed out for three. He didn't get deleted or banned. He only got timed out for about 30 seconds or 60 seconds or something like that. Uh, yeah, he got timed out for 60 seconds, so he can come back. But unfortunately, if you're a moderator and you don't know how to speak French, I don't know how to speak French, but I can understand it to a degree. There's nothing wrong with what he said. Um, Basically, he was saying, "Thank you for doing what you're doing and speaking. It's helping me speak. It's helping me to learn how to speak English." So yeah, we're not we're not kicking those people out. They're deleting. They are deleting mine. Who's deleting you guys? We got a moderator that's heavy on the finger this morning. Craig Rat, are you grumpy? Just checking. Are you grumpy? You're welcome, Ramonski. You're welcome. Maybe he didn't give you any likes, Autoshine. Maybe he didn't. Okay, Ramonski, hit the like button. Hit the damn like button. It'll assure that nobody's going to delete you again. It'll keep you in here a little longer. Again, I don't speak French. I can't read it fluently, but I can usually, if somebody puts a paragraph or something in there, I can usually go through and pick off key words, so at least I know what they're trying to the message they're trying to relay. And then on top of that, Victoria is pretty fluent in French, and she can read it and speak it. So if I can't do it, if I can't understand what you're saying in French, at least, like, for example, my phone went ding, and Victoria was sitting there going, and she just basically spelled out what Romskunky. So I keep calling him Romunsky, but Romskunky, what he was saying. So um, at least I've got a translator. Me, I understand English. Well, Donnie, you know what? For the most part, I'd like to think that I understand English and speak English, but you get around a bunch of English guys. You put Craig Rat and Tyke and a couple other Brits into a room that are speaking English, and I don't have a goddamn clue what they're saying, Donnie. Really, I don't. It's like going into Canada, and if you come into Canada, you go out to the East Coast, you get out to Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland, and PEI. You get a couple of those guys hammered and sitting around the bar. You need a translator. You need Google Translate. Your phone would blow up using Google Translate trying to figure out what those guys are saying. Carrie, good to see you. W Gramps, yeah, what the hell? All right, it's going to be all right. Yeah, everybody just step it back, relax. Skunky, you're good. Don't worry about it, man. You're welcome here. Sit down, relax. I'd like to say light a smoke and have a drink, but I can't light a smoke, and all I can do is drink coffee, and I can't even smoke. So I'm not outside anymore. I'm in the door. I'm in the house. Oh, but I think it's about that time. There we go. There we go. I tried that. I don't know if any of you guys. I don't know if any of you guys have tried it, but it's absolutely freaking disgusting. It is the most horrible shit in the world. I tried that orange Coke yesterday. It was the nastiest shit. It really was. I bought a whole case of it, thinking that it was going to be really good, and horrible, horrible. And then it wasn't just me. I tried it yesterday during the live, and it was gross. And then I tried it again last night. And when Victoria got home from work, we opened one and let her try it because it was a girlfriend of hers at work that showed it to us. But what I didn't realize is that she had the Coke, the orange Coke, but it was zero, right? I went and bought just the regular orange Coke, fully loaded with all the sugar. and it was fucking gross. And when Victoria tried it last night, she was drinking it. It was horrible. She couldn't get it down either. It was fucking disgusting. But she did say that because she was drinking the Coke Zero, the Orange Zero at work with her friend, and she said the other one is much better, the Orange Coke. So I'm gonna now. This is how cheap I am. Okay, I've now got 9 cans of Orange Coke here, and I will not throw them out or dump them down the drain. I am so cheap that I will drink them and hate every mouthful of it and hate it, but I will drink it. Right? That's how cheap I am. I will not throw them out. So when I'm done those, we'll try the Orange Coke Zero. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll go buy a can of it or buy a bottle of it and try it out before I buy a whole fucking case of it. Try a Dr. Pepper cream soda. Oh, dude, I'm all over that. Evan, good to see you, man. Have you ever tried Zins or whatever those tobacco pouches are called? Zens? No. I've got a new Iron Brew cream soda. It's an interesting taste. I'd try that. My addiction for pop is Dr. Pepper. Everybody knows that I love Dr. Pepper. I've actually stopped buying it because it was like goddamn cocaine. The more I had, the more I was drinking, right? You'd put 5 cases of Dr. Pepper in here, and I just drink Dr. Pepper all day. I'd never touch water, never touch milk, never touch juice. That's all I would drink. And then I was drinking the Dr. Pepper Zero because I was drinking so much of it, and the Zero was pretty good too. But then Tennessee, they got that cream soda, the Dr. Pepper cream soda. Let me tell you, man, that was fantastic. Still is fantastic. And now it's to the point where I can't even come close to buying, because if I bring it into the house, it's gone. And then they got the freezies. I don't know if you've seen those Tennessees, but the freezies, the big jumbo freezies, and you can buy a box of them. Where did we get those? I think we either got them at Costco or might have been the grocery store. But they're a whole box of them. I think there's 25 of those, something in a box, and half of them are Dr. Pepper and the other half are the Dr. Pepper cream sodas. Dude, I was in the freezer like every 9 minutes I just left the scissors on top of the freezer door because it's a lay down freezer, right? I took the scissors and left them on top of because I was in there so often. I just opened the thing, cut the freezy in half. So I got 2 nice halves, go back, do what I'm doing. I would eat them. I had brain freeze probably 6 out of 24 hours a day. I was eating so many of those goddamn things. They're so good. Dr. Pepper Zero is good. Yeah, Evan, I do like that. Smear some marshmallow fluff in a glass and add the cream soda. With the Dr. Pepper cream soda, I've never tried that marshmallow fluff. You know what? I've seen it before. My kids have bought it and they brought it home and whatever like that, and it's been in the cupboard. I've never tried it. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. Like, what is it? Like marshmallow spread? Like marshmallow version of Nutella? Um, I've never paid it any mind. I don't know. Mind you, I'm not a big marshmallow guy. Like, I can't eat regular marshmallows, just like plain. They got to be toasted over a campfire, and even then, once it's toasted, I pull it off and feed the center to the dog, and I just eat the crunchy outside because I'm not a big marshmallow guy. So I'm not sure how that would work. I don't know if I'd be willing to sacrifice a perfectly good Dr. Pepper cream soda on a marshmallow spread. Smear some marshmallow fluff in a glass and add some. It sounds kind of sexual. Well, I don't think that's what she's talking about. Soda is bad for you. Wishing you good health. Ols, let me tell you something. There's a lot of things in this world that are bad for you. Probably soda is probably one of them, but it's not on my list of shit to stop drinking because it's going to kill me. There's a list probably longer than my leg of shit that's going to kill me long before Dr. Pepper will. You're really cool, bro. You should set up your podcast in a garage with friends with more cameras. Evan, I used to have it set up out in the garage. Had the great big stove out there to keep us warm, whatever. In the summertime, it was cool. There's just one problem with that right now, Evan, is I don't have a garage. Otherwise, my friend, we'd be sitting in it right now. If I had a garage, we'd be sitting out there right now. I'd have the fire table going and I'd be able to smoke and I'd have my cigars burning. And, but right now we don't have a garage. So I am limited to about a 2 hour, 2.5 hour live. Because that's just about as long as I want to go. After about 2.5 hours, 3 hours without a cigarette or whatnot, I get a little cranky. Plus, you do a 2, 3, we've done 3, 4, 5 hours. Back in the day, we used to do 9, 10 hour lives. Eventually you got to pee, you got to go to the bathroom. Now lucky for me, if I really had to take a leak right now, the bathroom's right there. Like I walk out a door right here and the bathroom door is right there, so that's not a problem. If I have to, you guys can look at an empty chair for a minute or whatnot and I can go have a quick pee. But when you're in the garage, it was also kind of nice because I lived out in the country, and I just opened the back door of the garage, go on out back, and find a bush, take a leak, come on back. It was all kind of cool. I don't have that option today. Um, the house I'm living in is not mine. I don't own it. It's a rental. I'm renting this house, and it's a townhouse, so it doesn't come with a garage. Otherwise, like I said, man, that's where we'd be. I'd be looking cute with brain freeze. No, it wasn't cute. The faces were not exactly the best. It's spreadable. Yeah, it's spreadable. Okay. You know what? If I see it the next time we're grocery shopping, if I see it, I'll take a chance and maybe buy it. But I did that as well with something else and was thoroughly because I'm not a big fan of Nutella, right? The Nutella spread. But then we were walking through this store and I saw I think it's Cadbury's. It was Cadbury's chocolate spread. And of course, I got a boner for that right away. Absolutely right away, right in the moment. I got an absolute boner for that and had to buy it. I absolutely had to have it. I've eaten it once. It's gross as shit, right? Absolutely, absolutely disgusting. So it's one of those. I don't know, Stephanie. Do I want to buy this marshmallow spread? And try just coating the inside of a glass with cream soda, and then hate it and have this marshmallow spread sitting in my cupboard because again, that chocolate spread from Cadbury's is sitting up in the cupboard right now. It's never going to get used again, but damn it, I won't throw it away. It'll get thrown away when eventually Victoria says, like, she looks at it or she's moved it 12 times. By the time she's moved it out of the way 12 times, she's going to go fuck this and throw it away, right? But until that time, it's not gonna it's not gonna happen. I won't throw it away because I'm just too cheap. I'm not a huge marshmallow person. I hope not. I hope you're a regular person, not a marshmallow. You look like the Michelin Man. But it's a nice touch to cream soda drink. Tell you what, Steph, jump in the car. Come on up. Bring the marshmallow spread. Come on up. You, me, and Victoria will sit around. We'll coat some glasses up with marshmallow spread. I'll supply the cream soda. You bring the marshmallow spread, and we'll try it out. And if we don't like it, then we'll just kick you out and you can go home. If we do like it, then hey, you can stick around for a bit. How's that? If I die from cream soda, Dr. Pepper, fine with me. Well, Tennessee, that's where I was. That's where I was going. Right. That's what was happening to me. It was just getting off the hook ridiculous for the amount. And you got to think, it was like, I don't know how many teaspoons of sugar is in a regular Dr. Pepper. What is it, like 16 or something like that, or 30? I don't know what the count is. I can't remember. Somebody told me or I read it somewhere sometime, but you think about, like, in my coffee, I put 2 teaspoons of sugar in my coffee. Now my coffee is that big, right? And that's a big cup. And there's 2 teaspoons of sugar in there. Like, this is a can of pop, right? So if this is a can of pop and there's 16 teaspoons of sugar in that, if I was to take 16 teaspoons, take the lid off this can and fill that up with 16 teaspoons, it would probably be up to there with sugar. How the hell are how the hell can your body absorb that? Mine couldn't. Eventually, I was just going fucking crazy with the absolute ridiculous amount of sugar I was putting into my body. Just think, Brian, doing lives inside saving money, not smoking. Well, Cragrat, it's funny that you made that comment because I went out for Victoria was sitting on the couch last night. We were just kind of winding down the night, and we were just talking about something. And I went to the front door because I don't smoke in the house, so I got to go stand on the front porch or the back porch. But it was raining, so I went to go stand on the front porch, and I realized by how many cigarettes I had in my pack that I had absolutely probably cut my smoking just yesterday alone down by at least a third. Now, a lot of people go, oh, well, it's only a third. Well, yeah, but when you smoke cigarettes, you cut your smoking down by a third. So my smoking consumption yesterday was cut down by a third. A good portion of that was the fact that I was live for 3 hours and something yesterday. So I didn't smoke for 3 hours and something minutes yesterday. And then, we had the new mattress arrive yesterday. We had the new bed sheets and all the new bedding and all that arrive yesterday. So I set up all that. I was busy all day yesterday. So that took up time, and it was good. But believe me, don't get me wrong. I don't want to have to do that every day just to stop smoking. I've obviously cut back on my smoking as well, because at the end of the day, the end game is, I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes. I will never quit smoking cigars. When I die at the ripe old age of 99, okay, when I die at the ripe old age of 99, I'm going to be dying. I'm going to be laying in the casket, looking as dashing and as handsome as ever, because it just doesn't get any better than this. I'm going to be laying, and I'll be laying there in the casket like this, and there will be a cigar lit and burning right there while you guys are looking at me. So I will never quit smoking cigars, but the cigarettes got to go. They got to go. When you're waking up in the morning and you're coughing up a lung, and then you spit it out, and it's like you're hawking out a loogie, and you can feel it's coming off your chest. Probably not a good idea. Or when your girl's laying her head on your chest and she's listening to your wheeze and it sounds like fucking music, you probably need to stop smoking. And that's where I'm at right now. So I do need to quit smoking. And I know that a couple of you privately on the side, like I know that Aladdin, I talked to him on the side on the phone. He's made comments just as a friend. It's like, dude, you got to knock that shit off. And I know I do, because I'm not just a light smoker. You guys have seen me sit out back with them doing the lives, and I'm smoking one cigarette in under 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes later lighting another one. And I'll do a 4-hour live, and I will literally smoke a pack of cigarettes in 4 hours, and then light a cigar in between and whatnot like that. So I do got to knock it off. And I know my lungs are suffering, and I'd like to think that Victoria wants me to stick around for a while. I don't know. I'm insured. But you never know. I'd like to think that she wants me to stick around for a while, and she's quite happy with me being here. And she probably doesn't want to be taking care of some guy with COPD and walking. It's bad enough that by the time I'm 70, I'll probably be using a walker or a wheelchair. Although I'm going to have a real cool wheelchair, not a wheelchair, one of those little riders. I will deck mine out, but chances are I'm going to be in that position by the time I'm 70, 75 years old. And I'm sure she doesn't need to be dealing with some guy that, there's going to be 2 oxygen tanks on the back of it with airlines running up and, blah, 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 blah. So I do need to look. I'm 55 years old. I do need to look towards the future and possibly, keeping myself a little healthier now so that I'm not paying a price later, which has been the absolute story of my life. A lot of the issues and physical ailments that I have today are because, I was in my younger days, I hurt myself. I'd break a bone and I wouldn't get it properly taken care of. I'd sprain something and wouldn't get proper medical attention. My back, my hips, I need a bunch of work done, and it will get done eventually. But I need work done. But it's as a result of how I treated myself when I was younger and didn't avail myself of the proper medical attention, and I probably should have. Well, now I'm in the same boat. Now I'm doing stupid shit now at 50, 45. I wish I was 45. I'm doing stupid shit now at 55 years old that I know if I don't stop now when I'm 75, I'm going to pay a fucking price for it. Now I have to, and me and only me can make the decision. Is this something I'm willing to pay? Is this a price I'm willing to pay? Am I willing to pay it just to enjoy smoking today? Am I willing to pay that price when I'm 75? And the answer to that is no, I'm not willing to pay that price, especially when you're as hard a smoker as I am. If it was one of those things where, like, for here's an example, and I don't think she minds me saying this, but Victoria smokes too, but she's not a smoker like me. She'll have a smoke in the morning when she goes to work, and she might have one or two in the evening, and that's it for the day. She might have 3 cigarettes in a day, you know, 3 in a day. Are you out of your fucking mind? I've had 3 cigarettes before I finished my first morning coffee. I'm standing on the back porch. So, that's if I could smoke like that, if I could smoke 2 in the morning and maybe 2 in the afternoon and then 2 in the evening, um, that's fine. I'd probably be okay and I'd have no issue, but I don't. I don't. And part of that is just my addictive personality. I'm a recovered drug addict, but just because I'm a recovered drug addict and I don't do drugs and I don't drink, it doesn't mean the addictive personality goes away. A lot of times what happens is you find or you focus your attention, or your addictive personality will find something else and they'll focus on that. In my case, it's smoking. But when you take the smoking away, what would it be? You love ganja? Well, go get it. I used to love ganja too. Um, Somebody just sent me a text message and just threw my thought right off, and I was in the middle of something I was really talking about here. Either way, when you take an addictive personality and you remove the alcohol, you remove the drugs, that personality will still find something else to focus on. In my case, it was cigarettes. When you take cigarettes away, it can be trucking, or it could be YouTubing, or it could be anything. You can get addicted to anything. Food. I don't know how many anonymous programs there are out there, right? There's Alcoholics Anonymous for alcoholics. There's Narcotics Anonymous for drugs. There's Cocaine Anonymous for coke addicts. There's OA, Overeaters Anonymous. There's SA, Sex Anonymous. There's, holy fuck, you telling me? And those are all different addictions. So if you take say in my case, if you take the alcohol and the drugs out, it probably wouldn't be hard, right, to become an overeater, which I at some points in my life I did. It didn't take care of my eating habits, and it got out of control, and my size and my weight got out of control, and my health suffered. So you can you can go overeaters, or you can focus your attention there. You can go to sex. I don't know how many people, if you want to know, who's got a problem as a sex addict, man, sit around a truck stop and listen to a bunch of people talk, and eventually the subject of Pornhub will come up, and every single one of these guys knows of every single actress or actor that's in Pornhub. Well, I think you're watching a little too much porn, right? You might have you might have a little bit of an addictive personality towards sex, but it doesn't matter. You remove whatever the addiction is. The addictive personality will eventually find something else to focus on. The trick for me was and still is to find something healthy to focus on. And I haven't always done it. I will be honest with you, I haven't always been successful with it. But it's certainly, I'm not at the point now where I'm killing myself, right? I'm not dying. I'm not killing myself with crack and cocaine. I'm not drowning myself with Jim Beam. you know I smoked dope. I used to, but I wasn't a big pot smoker. I really, 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 really enjoyed hash, and hash oil, but it's along the same thing. Now weed today is not like it was back then, like the thought process, and how, as far as I'm concerned today, pot is no different than having a drink. Absolutely having a drink. If you're old enough to have a drink, legally have a drink, and you're old enough to smoke a joint. You can roll a joint and smoke it, knock yourself out. If you were sitting here beside me, okay, and you rolled a joint, I would have no problem with that. None whatsoever. To me, it would be the same as if you were just sitting there having a beer or sipping on a nice glass of whiskey, or whatever you want. That's where I find that level. That's what I find pot to be, at that level. It doesn't have the taboo that it did, say, 20 years ago, where, there's people today realistically in Canada, and I think in the US, that are still sitting in jail for pot offenses that they charges that they took back then. Meanwhile, pot is now legal in a lot of places in US, and it's legal from one end of Canada to the other. But there are people now that are sitting in jail going, wait a minute, I've been sitting in jail now for 15 years on these charges, on these pot drug charges. Enough is enough. Like, do you let them out? Do you keep them locked up? Whatever. And so it's just one of those things. For me in my life, my aspect, I don't smoke pot. Right? You've heard the saying. Nancy Reagan was famous for it back in the 80s, and a lot of other people have said that marijuana is the gateway drug. I call bullshit on that. I really truly do. It's not a gateway drug to the average person. To me, it would be a gateway drug. If I same with drinking. Okay, if I started drinking again, let's just say I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna have a glass of bourbon today. I might be able for the first couple of days, first couple of maybe a week or so, just sit there and have a couple glasses of bourbon, put it down and walk away. But eventually it's going to lead me to more and more and more, to the point where one is too many and 50 is not enough. And then eventually you can only get so far or get so intoxicated with bourbon. Well, then the addictive personality for me is going to kick in and go, well, alcohol is only going to take me to here, but you know what? Cocaine's going to take me here. You know what? Crack will take me up to here, and that's where it will go. So for me, it would be a gateway. So drinking to smoking dope to it. If you're an average person, average American, or like, and again, I'll use my girlfriend as an example. She'll have a couple of drinks. I've never in my life ever just had a couple of drinks. I've had a couple dozen, but I've never had a couple of drinks. She'll have a couple of drinks and get up and walk away. And even today at times it bewilders me. It's like, how do people do that? Because I couldn't, I can't, I still today, I can't, I know I can't do it. So I just remove it from my life. I don't, so I've removed alcohol. I've removed, marijuana, hash, all that, anything you can smoke or burn. And doing that, I've also removed like any hard drugs, cocaine, crack, anything like that. So now that's just kind of the way I live. And some of you are probably sitting there going, "Oh my God, isn't life boring? How do you do that?" Well, if you're a person like me, no, I'm just as crazy now, right? I'm just as crazy. Just remember, I've been clean and sober for over 30 years, 32 and a half years, or 33 years coming up in March of next year. I've been clean and sober that long, and look at me. I'm still just as crazy as ever, but could you imagine me wound up on coke? Would you even want to be around me? Like, I'm already like naturally high strung. It's just the way I am. Wound up a little tight once in a while. But man, do you want to see me? Do you want to see me speeding along? Do 3-4 lines, and then turn to everybody and go, okay, what are we doing? Let's go. And we don't stop until it's all gone. DIY semis in the house. In Canada, we call them semis. In the US, you guys are semis. DIY semis in the house. Good to see a DIY. Long time, man. Long time. All right, seriously? All right, seriously, what? What are you talking about? You sound like the funniest person ever. Well, you know what? There's a time to be funny, and there's a time to think, and there's a time to talk, and there's a time to relate. There's in the trucking industry, alcoholism and drug addiction runs rampant right now. It really does. And it's not just guys like me that were out there doing it. It doesn't matter nationality, creed. It makes no fucking difference what part of the world you come from. When you're in North America and you look at the North America trucking industry, the how many Indian guys are getting pulled out of their trucks absolutely hammered these days. It's happening more and more and more. Same with the Pakistanis, same with the Afghanis, same with all of those guys that are over in Europe that are or Asia that are coming over to Canada, and they're getting their trucking licenses. It's one of those addictions. Alcoholism and drug addiction is one of those addictions that it's not. It affects everybody, every race, every person, every nationality. It makes no difference where you come from, what color your skin is, what language you speak. alcohol and drugs is the most wonderful eraser in the world, because if you do it long enough, it's going to erase and take everything away from you. And in North America, you look at Canada, and I say North America, I'm talking, Canada, US, and probably Mexico. Alcoholism and drug addiction run rampant through our business. I know guys, right? I know personally guys, and I know them personally. I've talked to them. I've hung out with them. I've been in the truck stop with them, and they are absolutely, the truck gets parked at 6 o'clock, and by 6:45, they are smashed, absolutely smashed out of their minds, sitting in the cab of their fucking truck. And you're talking through the windows, you're parked side by side, and you're talking through the window, and all you hear is, 5 minutes later, you hear another. It's like, dude, you going to bed? Are you going to eat something? And that's the addiction. And it happens a lot. And it's sad for me, a guy like me, to watch that, because this guy's my friend, and I will say something to him, and he'll just, mind your own business, Brian. And it's like, okay, I'll mind my own business. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But again, throughout our business, I don't know if DIY's still in here, but he runs a fleet. He's a fleet owner, a small fleet owner, but he's a fleet owner. He's got drivers. He's got stories. He still drives himself. He's been doing this a long goddamn time. I'm sure he can sit there and tell you how many times he's pulled into truck stops and guys are hammered sitting in the trucks, or they're sitting. You go look at you get up in the morning and you're doing your pre-trip, right? You doing your pre-trip and you're walking around, and you get around the back of the back of the trailer, and you look at the trailer beside you, and there's 20 empty cans just laying there because somebody sat out there with their lawn chair on a nice summer day and got absolutely hammered sitting out the back of their trailer, because they didn't want to sit in their truck. Well, hats off to you. You didn't want to sit in your truck and do it. Good for you. But now you're sitting out back your trailer, getting absolutely, shit-faced into oblivion. And I know for a fact that you're climbing into that, you're off for 10 hours. Okay, so for that 10 hours that you're off and you're in the bunk, or you're in the sleeper, supposed to be in the sleeper, out of that 10 hours, 4 of those hours you spent drinking and getting absolutely shit-faced. You might pass out after 4 or 5 hours, and you're going to sleep for what, 5 hours, and you're going to get up and be sober? I don't think so. There's no goddamn way that you're sober. You might think you are, oh, I'm fine to drive, I can feel. But if you blew a breathalyzer, or did a detox, or did a follicle test or something, you'd fail miserable. You'd fail miserably. You would fail and you'd get impaired. But you'd be sitting there going, oh, I'm fine. Well, no, you're not fine. Your blood alcohol level has been affected. You can't drink 20 beers or 15 beers and then sleep for 5 hours and get up and be sober. You just can't do it. Alcohol is the worst drug, in my opinion. Well, rage character, I would agree. Only because it's the most easily accessible, and it's the most socially tolerated. Right? And it always has been, almost since the beginning of time. You hear about the horrors of cocaine addiction, and you hear about the horrors of heroin addiction, because those drugs are, for lack of a better word, they're taboo. They're naughty, they're bad, they're whatever. Alcohol doesn't fall into that. Alcohol is a socially acceptable thing to do. To drink alcohol is socially acceptable. What's not socially acceptable is to drink 20 or 30 of the things and get up and go to work and drive a truck. But you don't hear about it because it's not, you're going to hear about, the DEA just seized a tractor trailer full of cocaine, and they got, 10 or $15 million worth of cocaine seizure. Right. Meanwhile, there's 75 trucks all carrying Budweiser, running from fucking this state to that state, crossing state lines and doing everything like that. And that's okay. But meanwhile, that 75 trucks of Budweiser or beer or alcohol, nobody gives it a second thought. But why? Because it's socially acceptable. It's going to where's it going? Well, it's going to a store. Well, I can go to the store and buy it. Well, if I can go to the store and buy it, it must be okay. Well, then that means it's legal, and then I can do it. If you could walk into the store in North America, and I know there's places in Europe you probably can, but if you could walk into a store in Canada or the US and buy cocaine, give it 20 years and it would become socially acceptable and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But right now it is. We are having the conversation, right? But it's just my humble opinion and rage character. I agree with you 100%. Alcohol is probably the worst one, only because it's so easily accessible, and it's not only is it easily accessible to us that are of age to drink it. In Canada, like in the province I live in, Alberta, you got to be 18. The legal drinking age is 18. Most of the other provinces are 19. A lot of them are 19, but it's either 18 or 19 all the way across Canada. The United States, you got to be 21. But I don't know about any of you, but I was drinking, in my early teens. Legally, you're not allowed to, but it doesn't mean that you can't get your hands on it. How many 13-year-olds these days have got themselves a Coke dealer and they're buying drugs? Not many, right? So again, alcohol is so easily accessible. In the province of Quebec, that's our French-speaking province. They are so lax on their alcohol rules. You got to be 18 to buy it and 18 to drink it there as well. But they're so lax. Basically, if you're big enough to carry it out of the store, they'll sell it to you, right? That's just the way they are, and that's they live in a different social setting than we do the rest of Canada. Um, but alcohol can be found everywhere and anywhere, and it's being used by every age demographic out there. You don't see a lot of 13-year-old cocaine addicts. There are, but you don't see about it, and that's why I think alcohol is probably worse, and there's just more of it. Like, fuck it, let's face it. I could stand on the roof of this house right now, close my eyes, and throw a rock in any direction. I'm going to hit a distillery or a brewery or something. I will hit something, right? It would take a little more practice to stand on the roof of my house and pick off a cocaine dealer. I don't even know. And like, I live in Strathmore and I've been living here now for 6 months. I don't even know if there's a drug dealer. I'm sure there is, but I don't know any of them, but I know where I can go to get alcohol. I could leave this live on right now. I could go get in my car and I could drive and I could be gone for probably maybe 7 or 8 minutes and be back with a room full of booze. Anyway, in Sweden, Norway, they have breathalyzers built into the truck, and you have to blow into them before the truck will start. Cragrat, we have that here, but it's not built into the trucks and it's not built into the vehicles per se from the start. Let's just say, for example, I did drink. Okay, let's just say I drank, and I got an impaired charge. I got a DUI, drinking under the influence, and I got charged with that. First thing they're going to do is they're going to suspend my license for a year, and they're going to charge me with impaired and driving under the influence. There's two charges, so you're going to take those. That's going to affect your insurance. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's say I lawyer up, and I get a really good lawyer, and I get my year suspension knocked down to a couple of months, whatever like that, and then I get my license back. Or even let's just say I run out the full year, I get my license back, I carry on, and then I get a second impaired charge. It happens again. I think after the second, and maybe the third, but it shouldn't be the third. It should actually be the first, in just my humble opinion, I think. But I think after the second impaired charge, they put that device that you're talking about, Craig Rat, into your own personal car. And exactly that. You have to blow into this thing for about 20 seconds, pass a breathalyzer before your car will work, before it'll turn on and work. So that's, that we've got it here. I don't think Texas is one and done. I think it should be that way here too, Ryan. I do. I think that Alberta, or I think just across Canada, just go countrywide with it, one and done. You get an impaired charge, you lose your license for a year, and for the rest of your life you've got a breath. Now that's not to say, because I know somebody that had that, and here's the thing: it only stayed in the car for an X amount of period of time, and then when they felt that the person was responsible enough, they took it out of the car and blah 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 blah. But in my humble opinion, I think honestly that you get an impaired charge, um, and you get caught, obviously you've gotten in charge. Not only has it shown a lack of judgment on you, like you've taken your life into your own hands, you've taken, somebody else's and general public's life into your hands, and so basically you've made a bad call on about 5 different levels, right? By doing what you've done, by taking an impaired charge, you have endangered yourself, your family, maybe anybody else in the car with you, the general public, property damage, whatever. That should be enough right there that, you know what, it's one and done. You got your impaired charge, that's fine. You got your charge. You lose your license for a year, and when you get it back for the rest of your life, you have to plug that car, you have to blow into that breathalyzer before your car will start. And if you go buy a new car, it's registered. It should be registered to that car or to that license. So as soon as I buy a new car, that thing should have to be installed from one car to the next. Or if I have 5 cars, there should be one in every car. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, but what's stopping? Let's just say you've got it in your car and you want to drive, but I'm your buddy and I'm like, well, here, let me blow in that for you. There's always fucking loopholes. There's always other ways around, you know? Yeah, exactly. Character. People can easily get around that. And I know that it can be done. I've seen it get done. It's not like that breathalyzer will only pick up my breath, right? Rage Charger, I could have the thing in my car and I could be sitting in the driver's seat hammered and I could make you blow in it and you would pass and my car would start. So what's stopping? There's always loopholes. There's always ways around it, right? People, yeah, it used to be 3. It used to be 3 charges. I think it used to be 3 here. I think we're down to 2. But again, car wash, I agree with you 100%. It should be your first one. And there's no forgiveness. I know people that have, taken an impaired charge, lawyered up, and had the 1 year suspension reduced down to like 90 days. That's bullshit. You should not be able, it should be a 1 year regardless. Regardless. You can lawyer up if you want to, but you're not going to win. It's an automatic 1 year. I swear to God, the fines are more stiff now on the distracted driving than it is on impaired charges. Because with an impaired charge, I can go fight it and get my sentence reduced. And I may take the points and my insurance is going to go through the roof, but still with the distracted driving, if I get caught driving, I get caught with a phone in my hand. I'm not sure what it is in Alberta, but in Ontario, it's $1,000. $1,000. It's, I think, 4 points, and forget about insuring your car, right? Forget about insuring your car. You might as well sign your car back over to your parents and become a secondary driver on theirs, because you'll never insure your car again. It's ridiculous, but they're more stringent and more harder on the public for distracted driving than they are on impaired charges. How does that come to pass? But in the 80s, it was legal to drive with an open container, and even some places are relaxed on open containers. Car wash, I know that in some states, I think Montana, Wyoming, you can have an open container in the vehicle as long as it's not the driver. So if say you and me were in my car and we were driving, and there was 3 or 4 of us in the car, and you and somebody else were in the back seat, and I'm driving the vehicle, as long as I'm not drinking, and as long as I can pass the breathalyzer if they want, the alcohol, you guys can sit in the back and drink openly if you want to. I think there's still a few US states you can do it. I don't think you can do it anywhere in Canada. The felony DWI law in America is a fake law, and it's fake by George Bush. Learn the law and you'll understand what I'm saying. Ronald, you know what? I'm first of all, I'm Canadian, so I've never really looked into the laws or the DWI laws for the US. And it's funny because in Canada, each province dictates the impaired charges and everything. I'm not sure if it's done the same way in the US where it's a state level run operation. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd hate to say something because I don't know anything about it. I don't know how it works that way. So they have cameras. They have cameras in them. So when you're blowing into the breathalyzer, it has to be me blowing in it. Like you couldn't blow in my breathalyzer to turn my car on because the camera would pick that up. I could see that. That makes sense. I would agree with that. Put 2 fucking cameras in there. I don't care. You know, I would agree with that. Even if it would cut down on the impaired accidents and death rate just from impaired driving, even if it cut it down by say 15%, it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm absolutely surprised that the US and Canada has not pounded legislation through that has just made it almost impossible to drink and drive. Right? They then literally they should have. They're leaving it up to the public to be responsible for this when the public is truly shown that they can't be responsible for something like this. Most people can, but a lot of people can't. And those people that are doing it are getting second chances, getting third chances, fuck no. Pass the legislation that you are one and done. You take an impaired charge, right? And that's only if you get in just pulled, say you're swerving on the road and the cops pull you over or give you a breathalyzer and you fail. Okay. You've only been caught on the road. Nobody's been hurt. There's been no accident. There's no property damage. You should still have to pay the same penalty because eventually it's not a matter of if that guy is going to have an accident or if that guy's going to fucking hurt something or hurt somebody or himself. It's a matter of when. It's a matter of when. It will eventually happen. If you take a 20-year-old guy, okay, that starts drinking and driving at the age of 20 or in the US 21, if you take a 21-year-old guy or girl and they've been drinking and driving and they're doing it say once or twice a week, whatever like that, I guarantee you by the time they're 30, they're going to have at least one accident, one alcohol-related accident, one alcohol-related incident. They're going to have, it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So why would legislation allow that? You get caught with it, you're done. Fucking done. Seal your driver's license up, put it in a fucking safety deposit box and never look at it again because you should never be able to drive a fucking car again. And they should even make it harder and worse on truck drivers and commercial vehicles. You think about that, okay? How you guys don't have a clue. You guys really have no clue whatsoever. How many times that you're driving along the highway, and I guarantee you that truck that's beside you, that's maxed out at 80,000 pounds, doing 65 miles an hour, that's 78 feet long, that's got 505 horsepower, and 1,800 foot-pounds of torque, and the guy behind the wheel is bombed. You have no clue how often that is happening, and it's a lot. So you think about that. Not only would you not want to be in that car beside that truck or around that truck or in front of that truck, think about it in these terms. If you're not in the vehicle, but say that's your wife and your children in that car around that truck, do you want that? Fuck no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would want no part of that. So I'm in full agreement with, if you are a truck driver, you lose your license forever. Ever. You never drive another truck again. You're not allowed to ride anything bigger than a fucking bicycle. And it can't be motorized. You have to pedal the motherfucker. Okay? So no, I absolutely 100% think that impaired charges should be much stiffer, or the penalties for impaired charges should be much, much stiffer than they already are. And if you're in the audience or you're in the chat and you've taken an impaired charge and you don't agree with me, speak up. Tell me you don't agree with me. Tell me why you think it should be okay that you should get a second chance, right? Why you think it's okay and you should be allowed to serve your term, serve your penalty, and get a second chance, right? And this is a big stretch, but it's, you should lose your license and your right to drive for the rest of your life if you get caught with an impaired charge. And I'm going to put this at the same level as if you're a fucking man and you rape a little girl, you should either die, or you should lose your freedoms for the rest of your life. No questions asked, no chance for parole, never see the outside again. You shouldn't even have a window in your cell. That is how strongly I feel about impaired charges. if you put the penalty so steep, you make it so bad. I mean, like you make a penalty, come up with a fucking, I don't know. Now I'm getting tongue tied. But if you make the offense, if you commit the offense and you make the penalty so outrageously ridiculous that nobody's willing to drink and drive, then I think you've hit the mark. Okay. But as long as you're making it possible for me to serve my term and serve my time and then get my license back and maybe have the possibility of doing it again. And then there's always the case of how many guys out there are driving around in their cars without driver's licenses. Again, I know people that have done that. I know a guy that's doing it right now, has an impaired charge. His license is under suspension. He's still driving his car. He's still driving his pickup truck. Still goes to work every day, drives his pickup truck back and forth, blah, 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 blah. But you can be goddamn sure, he's got his seatbelt on. He's got two hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. And if the speed limit's 55 miles an hour, he's doing 54 and a half, but that happens. But if he gets caught, he's not going to jail. He's not, he's going to pay. He's going to get charged with something else. And, he'll be free and he'll be loose again. If you're getting impaired, you are impaired, and this is again to the degree that I think of this, okay? If you are impaired and you are in a vehicle and you are in an accident and you kill people die, there should be no charge of vehicular manslaughter. There should be no charge. You are charged with fucking murder. You don't get a 10-year prison term and you're out in 6 for good behavior. You're going to fucking jail for the rest of your life. Gone. Done. Kiss your wife goodbye. Learn how to bend over and sit appropriately because you're going to be taking it. You go to jail. As soon as you kill somebody in a vehicle because you were impaired, because you made a bad choice, nobody fed you that alcohol, nobody sat you down and poured it down your throat. You did that. You chose that. You made that choice. You pay the fucking penalty for it. These are just my opinions, guys. These are just my opinion. What about people driving stoned? Same thing. Same thing. Okay. Drunk or stoned, you are in an altered state of mind. Right? Same thing. When you are drunk, you are impaired. Right? Your abilities to think, reason, and your thought processes are impaired when you're drunk. It's the same when you're stoned. When you get stoned, but they call it, you're getting high for a reason. You're getting high. Your mental faculties are impaired. Your judgment is impaired. Your physical ability. Have you ever seen a stoner that smoked a bag of weed? You ever seen him move quickly? The only time you will see a stoner that smoked a bag of weed move quickly is when you open the cupboard and they hear the potato chip bag crinkle. And then even then, he's not racing off the couch into the kitchen. So, you are impaired. I feel the same way about drugs. You get caught with, cocaine in your system, heroin in your system, crack in your system, marijuana, hash, anything in your system, you are in impaired state. Bottom line. Same with prescription drugs. If you're now, there's going to be a gray area here, but on for example, on certain medications that I've taken in my life, say you've had a major surgery and they've prescribed Percocet for pain, but it says on the bottle, there is a fucking warning on that bottle: do not operate motor vehicles or heavy machinery. If you do, you are making a bad choice. So if you get caught out there and you've made, you've taken Percocet and, you've got the pain and you've got your little buzz and you make the choice to get in your vehicle and go to the store to buy a chocolate bar. And what in the process, you're going through a crosswalk and you kill a couple of kids, you're done. You made the choice. The doctor didn't force you to take that fucking pill. You took the pill, and when taking the pill, now you've made the choice to go and drive. You can either take the pill and feel the effects and stay at home and be safe like the doctor or the practitioner wants you to, or you can take the pill and go against what it says on the bottle: do not operate motor vehicle or heavy machinery. You made that choice. So prescription meds are the same thing. Diddy was only sentenced to 50 months. Who gives a fuck? I hope he dies. We shouldn't have to pay taxes when there's a government shutdown. Timothy Travis, it's one of those things. When there's a government shutdown, you shouldn't have to pay taxes. If everybody in the United States for one day, let's just say for one day, they decided not to collect taxes for one day, and that's like personal taxes, corporate taxes, uh, road tax. Let's just say everything shut down for one day, one 24-hour period, your economy would crash. Your economy would crash. The fucking you'd wake up if you didn't pay to your taxes on Monday, starting at 6 o'clock Monday morning and until 6 o'clock Tuesday morning. By noon on Tuesday, your entire country would be on fire. In theory, I agree with you. If the government ain't working, why are we fucking paying? But you got to remember, you're not just paying their salaries, right? The government, yeah, the government salaries are being paid by our tax dollars, but the tax dollars are also going to many other things that do require funding, that do require money, even if the government shuts down, right? You can't remove tax dollars from government subsidies to hospitals or to Medicare or medical or anything like that. Just because the government stops working doesn't mean the hospitals stop working, doesn't mean that certain other agencies stop working. And that all requires tax dollars to keep the flow of things going. So, I agree with you, Timothy. I do in thought process. But if you look at the very big picture and go, okay, well, it's not just our tax dollars that pay the government salaries. If those fuckers ain't working, they shouldn't be getting paid. I agree. But that's just this part of it. There's also this part and this part and this part and this part. And all of these other parts do require the tax dollars to keep the gears rolling, keep everything moving. When you drank and did drugs, did you ever drive? Putty cat? Yeah, I did. I did. I was guilty of that. Bad decision, bad judgment. The only difference between me and these other guys is luckily, very luckily, I never had an accident and I never got caught. That's the only difference. There's no difference. I'm no better than anybody else that's ever had an impaired charge or that's sitting in jail because they did something recklessly while drinking and driving. The only difference is I never got caught. Okay. Realistically, I should have been locked up fucking hundreds of times, right? From the time that I acquired my driver's license at 16 until the time that I cleaned myself out with the cocaine and drugs and everything like that in my 20s when I got sober. In between there was probably I was either drinking or mind altered with chemicals, probably daily. And again, there's no that doesn't make me any better or smarter or I'm sneakier or I'm more conniving than anybody. The only difference is I didn't get caught. But it would have been. It's only a matter of time. If I would have kept going, I would have eventually got caught. What about driving on uppers? It's still an upper is still like you're talking like beans or amphetamines or something, dude. It's still a mind altering chemical. Okay, it's gonna. Are you telling me that if you sit there and you do beans or you do, and I kind of think I know where you might be going with this because truck drivers are notoriously famous for using them, right? It's called we used uppers and we called it the West Coast turnaround. That I'd drive to California and my little black pill would drive the rest of the way home. My little black pill would drive all the way home. But still, while I was taking those uppers, right, I was impaired because it's wiring your system. It's turbocharging your system. When your body and your brain and the chemicals in your brain are telling you it's time to sleep, it's time to rest, that upper is bypassing all of that and it's charging you. That's an impairment. Don't drive impaired, period. Whatever the drug, it doesn't matter exactly. Drinking, drugs, um, No, okay. So what if you're addicted to sex? Can you drive and have sex at the same time? Anybody try that? Anybody done it and get away with it, not smash their car? Holding people accountable, how crazy is that? Well, yeah, that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it now? To hold people accountable, to say, okay, you're responsible for your own actions. Oh no, I'm not. She made me do it. My dad made me do it. My brother made me do it. Oh, my boss made me do it. Bullshit. Nobody fills your face full of booze. Nobody sticks a crack pipe in your mouth. Nobody stuffs cocaine up your nose. It doesn't work like that. You took it. You're accountable. And at the end of the day, you're responsible for the actions of yourself and what happens, whether it's good or bad. Congress gets paid during the shutdown. I didn't know that. The the military does not get paid during a shutdown. I didn't know this. The military does not get paid during a shutdown. Welfare recipients get their money. I can't say that I agree with that. So since you drank and drive, or you spying, are you saying if you got caught, you should have never drove again? Absolutely, Putty Cat. If you'd have asked me 30 plus years ago, I went, oh, no, no, no. I need my license to drive. I need my license to work. I need da, 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 da. Would have been a different story. Today, looking back upon that man who I was back then, absolutely. Would I have had a trucking career? No. I would have had to find something else to do. But that's my fault. I can't blame the government for making the law, right? That's my fault. So yes, I would have, if that would have been the law back then, I would agree with it now. Anyone that ever said they didn't drink and drive, they are a liar. Too many people driving in the morning still intoxicated. Oh, dude, that happens all the time, right? I can tell you right now. You go like Friday, it's Sunday now, so everybody's hungover as shit. Nobody's out of bed, but you go into town here in Strathmore and you go to the local roundup, right? You go to a couple of the local bars. I guarantee goddamn to you, those guys and girls they're tearing it up in there. And if they're not driving home drunk, when they come back in the morning to get their car, they're still impaired. You can't drink that much booze and fucking go to bed for 5, 6, 7 hours and get up and still pass a breathalyzer. Doesn't happen. Brazilian drivers known for amphetamines. Well, they're known here too. You could get mini thins at the convenience store, and they were essentially uppers. I don't know about that. I can't make a comment on that. What's your opinion on automated driving? Um, Automated driving, I'm not a fan of it, only because they're trying to take jobs out of drivers' hands. There's going to be a lot of unemployed truck drivers. The automated trucks, it will eventually get here in mass. It's not here in mass yet. I'm not a fan of it. I can tell you right now, the mega carriers, especially, we're going to talk WVLD. We're going to talk about trucking or trucks, but even let's say regular vehicles, Tesla. You think Elon Musk and Tesla doesn't have a room full of lawyers just sitting there waiting for the lawsuits they're going to be coming when they go fully automated and all the, because when you got to test them, and in the testing process, people are going to get killed. It's just a matter. It's a matter of time. It's already happened, right? Especially in large transport in the southern U.S., where they do a lot of the testing because there's no winter weather down there. They do that's where they do all the testing. A lot of it done across the I-10, right? Because it's a long, pretty much a long stretch of highway that it's in a seasonal area where there doesn't get a lot of snow, doesn't get a lot of weather, and they can do their testing. Now, I'm telling you right now, when you start testing, what's going to happen? And I think Walmart is testing, Swift is testing, Werner is testing, and all of these carriers, there's been accidents with their automated trucks. So they've already got the lawyers sitting in a room wound up, ready to go for the lawsuits that are coming. And in cases like Walmart or Swift that are so big, they've already got millions of dollars just sitting there waiting for the payouts that they're going to have to make in order to make it through the testing. But at the end of the day, it is coming. But if you want to impress me, It doesn't impress me to watch a fucking truck or a car sit in a 13-foot wide lane and go down the lane because the car and the sensors and the GPS are keeping it in the lane. You want to impress me? Come on up to Northern Ontario or Northern Alberta where you don't see the road. There's no lines. There's nothing, right? It's just a white flat thing. How is that car gonna, you telling me the GPS is gonna keep that car on the road? I don't think so. I don't think so. How are you going to take an automated vehicle? And here's a really good example. Take an automated truck, right? Fully automated truck. Yeah, it can drive across the I-10, right? So let's just say it's going to drive from San Antonio. It's going to pull out of a yard just outside of San Antonio. It's going to get on the I-10. It's going to go east all the way to New Orleans. Now, when it gets to New Orleans, it's going to, let's just say the delivery is downtown. It's right in the middle of the fucking city. How is that automated truck going to work its way through the city with all the other moving vehicles and cars parked on the corner, where a guy like me, when I drive my truck into a major metropolitan city, Atlanta, Chicago, Nashville, New York City, Los Angeles, where there, it's not just lanes on a road. The lanes and the lines might be on the road, but the computer is going to pick that up. But there's a car parked here that shouldn't be there, and there's another car parked on the other corner over there that shouldn't be there. And now that computer, that automated truck, would have to make an educated guess and have to go into oncoming traffic and make that right-hand turn to get the truck and the trailer around this parked car. Is that computer going to do that? I don't think they'll be able to do that. Whereas me, I will put the nose of my truck into oncoming lane so that oncoming traffic at that intersection knows what I'm doing, and I will very carefully work my way around. Will the computer be able to do that? Right now, I'm going to say I don't think so. Will it be in the future with AI? Who knows? Who knows? But am I a fan of automated trucking? No, absolutely not. I'm not a fan of automated trucking at all. Am I a fan of electric vehicles, electric trucks, right? Let's lose the combustion engine. Let's go to electric. Am I a fan of that? Fuck no. Absolutely not. I never want to see I will never ever own an electric vehicle. If you handed me the keys or the fob or whatever it is, if you took it right now and you parked it in my driveway and handed it to me and it was brand new, it didn't have a single mile on it, it would stay that way because the for sale sign would go in the window and I'd sell it. I wouldn't even drive it. That's how much I oppose electric vehicles. I think personally that the electric vehicles and the wherewithal behind it of, oh, well, they're green, they're good for the environment, they're healthy for the planet, the emission, it is the biggest load of shit that they have been cramming down our throats. And 99% of I'd say about 90% of the population, you're eating it, you're believing it. You are just sipping the fucking gravy out of the gravy pot. It's just ridiculous when you think about the emissions and what it is on an electric vehicle and what they're selling you as to how safe they are, how clean they are, how good they are for the environment, how quiet they are. Yeah, I'll give it to you. They're quiet. They're quiet. I've been sitting in an intersection, had a Tesla roll up onto me. The only reason I knew it was there, I could hear the crunching of the tires, right? You'll have an electric vehicle when you're old and in your carriage. No, I don't think so, brother. I'm going to stick a John Deere lawnmower engine on mine. I'm going to be burning combustion fuels till the day I die. I will not have an electric vehicle. If Victoria came home tomorrow and said, guess what? I won a Tesla. I won it. We don't have to go buy a new car. We just won a Tesla. Congratulations, babe. It's going up for sale. We're not keeping it. Not going to happen. I will not drive it. And I won't have, and when I'm driving my little scooter around, when I'm old, nope. I'm going to be that old fuck going through Walmart and you're going to hear heat coming off the back of my scooter. Why? Because I'm still burning gas. If it's still available, which it probably will be for at least another 140 years. Anyway, the Democrats in the USA loved Elon and Tesla. Then they hated him. It's the same. I'm not going to say anything about Elon Musk. Is he smart? Yes. Is he a genius? Yes. Is his IQ above like fucking 9 million? Yes. Does he always make the best decisions? Not really. But he's popular. He does what he does. And, when you've got his level of buku money, you can do and say whatever the fuck you want, even against the government. Those electric vehicle batteries tend to explode. They have to be buried or submerged. That's the least of it. That is the least of it. Okay. Yes, I agree with you. And you're right. Right. They have a tendency to explode. And even if they don't explode, let's just say you buy an electric vehicle, and you've got the vehicle, and after 4 years, 3.5, 4, maybe 5 years, the battery stops working. It stops taking a charge. It stops working. To replace the battery is cheaper than to replace the battery is just as expensive as buying a new car. So you're telling me that you're going to keep a vehicle that's only got a battery with a lifespan of 3 to 5 years? Fuck that. I got a 2017 Kia in my driveway. It's still going. 10 years from now, it's still going to be going. The lifespan of a fucking 2017 Kia, right? So what are we at? It's 2025 right now. So that's an 8-year-old car out there, and it's probably going to be running for another fucking 10 years. You show me a Tesla, that you pull a Tesla out of the showroom right now. You pull that car out of the showroom right now, and you start driving it like an everyday driver, and you show me that car running in 10 years. Won't happen. Absolutely will not happen. It'll be nothing but a boat anchor. An expensive boat anchor, but it'll be a boat anchor. Yes, they have to be buried and or submerged. But think about this, okay? Think about this. You're talking about the end. Okay, so as that clean emission vehicle has had its life, the end result is, at the end, it's not very good for the environment because the batteries are toxic. They got to be buried or they blow up. I think in some cases now, some of the batteries or components of them are now being recycled, but I don't know with 100% certainty whether that be the case. But I think somewhere that there is. But that's only the end of the vehicle's life. Right? Go to the beginning of the vehicle's life. Go to the very beginning of that vehicle's life. Where's the beginning at? The beginning starts with the battery. The fucking car is useless without a battery. So you have to start at the very beginning, and you have to start with the battery. Right? So WVLD, what do those batteries run on? What are they made from? Right? Tesla, doesn't matter. Tesla, GM, all their electrical vehicles. What are they made from? What are the batteries running on? Or what does it come from? It comes from lithium. It's lithium. Where does lithium come from? Come on, fuckers. I'm walking you down a path here, and you guys are sitting there twiddling your thumbs. Where does lithium come from? The beginning process of a battery is they need the lithium. Where does it come from? It's got to be mined, right? So it's got to be mined. It's got to be mined out of the ground. Right. It's lithium. But where does it come from? It comes out of the ground. It's got to be mined. Okay, so now you've got a lithium mine. How are they getting that lithium out of the ground? You think they're using electric vehicles? Fuck no. Okay, they're using earth movers, backhoes, everything that they're using to mine that lithium out of the ground. Everything they're using is run on combustion. It's run on diesel. Okay. So now let's just say they've got it out of the ground. So they've used all of these diesel machines to get the lithium out of the ground. What do they do with it? Okay. So from there, it goes on to what? It goes on a truck. And what does a truck run on? Is it an electric truck? Probably not. Truck's going to run on. Or maybe, depending on how big the mine is, they've got rail, right? So it's going to go on a train. Trains are somewhat, they have electric motors in them, but they also have diesel as well. So you're now you're still burning diesel. So now you've mined the shit, you've pulled it out of the ground using diesel. You've now put it on a train to transport it using diesel. It goes to a plant, or it goes wherever it goes to actually over there. It doesn't even do that. From there, it goes on the train or onto the truck, and then it goes where? It goes to the port, right? Once the lithium comes out of the ground, it goes to the port. And what does it do? It goes on a fucking boat. Is it an electric boat? No, it's not an electric boat. The goddamn clunker boat's burning diesel and it's crossing the ocean. So you get on the boat now. Your boat goes where? It pulls into Norfolk, Virginia, and they offload it onto what? Another electric truck? No, it goes on to a fucking another truck. And the whole process, by the time that battery is a finished product and they're putting it into the car, the carbon footprint that it is left just to be made, that battery would have to run for 20 years just to make up that carbon footprint that it has left. So is that a green vehicle? Absolutely not. You're going to run that car and that battery for 3 to 5 years, but you've got a 20-year carbon footprint that is left behind it. So there's a 15 years, because you've only covered 5 years. Let's say that car runs for 5 years. You've covered 5 years of a 20-year carbon footprint. So there's a 15-year. So are you telling me that these vehicles are good and they're wonderful and they're awesome? Fuck no. The emissions put out to make the goddamn car, the car will never make up for. You'll never get the emissions back. So no, they're not green. They're not good for the environment. It's a load of shit. And dude, look it up. That's not my opinion. Lithium comes from mines in the Congo that children work in, that Biden supported. Do we have to drag politics and everything? I'm just talking about lithium mines. Do we need to talk about Biden and the children? That's another subject, man. Could give two shits about electric, so no response from me. Well, you know what? I'm David. I'm 100% agree with you, but I do want to give a response, and I do want to say something, because the whole fucking mass world is thinking that these green cars and these Teslas and these electric vehicles are so good. When you break it down to the degree that and what I'm telling you is just like general. It's not even the intimate parts of it, of what really goes in. There's a whole lot more to it than what I just said. I just gave it to you in broad terms of, okay, they dig it out, it goes on a truck, or it goes on a train, it goes on a boat, it comes over to the United States, it goes onto another train or another fucking, there's way more to it than that. So when I'm telling you that there's a 20-year carbon footprint and the car is only going to make up 5 years of that, that car has cost you 15 years. Bottom line. All these kids mining for lithium. That's, you know what? That's unfortunate, but that's right now the way the world is. Can we do anything about that? I hate to sound callous, and I don't mean to sound callous, but that's what's happening over there. What can you do about that? The companies are going to stop buying lithium from those mines until you put adults or over 18 people in there. That ain't going to happen. You think fucking Elon Musk is going to stop all battery production or purchases because those batteries were made by children over in a mine in the Congo? Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. Electric cars are not electric. They run off the grid that is using fossil fuel. Well, David, that's another point as well. Okay. Now, around here, like where I live, our electricity is either nuclear generated or it's coal, and a lot of places, depending on where you are in Canada, because we have so much water and so many running rivers, we do have options of hydroelectric and whatever like that. But yeah, if you are running, if your house or your neighborhood or your town or your city is running off of coal plants or fossil fuel burning plants to generate electricity, you're absolutely right, David. 100% correct. You're plugging in your Tesla to your house going, I've got a green car, but every light in your house is being powered by coal or by combustion. So 100%, absolutely agree with you, man. Absolutely good. Can you talk about something relevant? Talk about, knock yourself out. What do you want to talk about? They are they are a terrible idea. Cars gotta go. Well, you know what? It won't be, David. Maybe I don't know how old you are. Maybe by the time you're a senior or something like that, you know, they'll be driving around in jets and hovercraft. You know, they're flying around like that. But it ain't probably ain't gonna happen in my lifetime. I'm 55. I'm only gonna live another you know what, 80, 85 years. I don't think we're gonna see that. Mr. Ten Ball, nice chat, interesting info. Oh, you know what? Come on back. Throw some comments in there. Let me know what you think. If you agree with me, you disagree with me. If you like what we're doing, if you want to add something to the chat, if it's of relevance, hey, give yourself some credit, man. Get into a good chat and get into a good debate once in a while is good for you. I don't mean get into an argument, right? I won't argue with anybody. I'm not, because if you're arguing with somebody, all you're trying to do is cram your opinion down their throat, right? And basically you're saying, you're wrong, I'm right, and this is why I'm right, and this is why you should think like me. That's basically an argument. A debate is two people wanting to sit and talk about issues that may not necessarily agree upon. And at the end of the debate, you may not necessarily agree, but you're still going to walk away friends, right? That's a debate. I'll debate anybody. I'll talk and debate anybody about topics or subjects that I know about. I'm not going to sit here and debate some guy about brain surgery because no, I don't know jack shit about brain surgery, right? But if you want to talk about certain things, so when you see chats like this and there's topics going through, you know what? Get your 2 cents in. A good debate, there's nothing wrong with a good debate. Nothing wrong at all. Crag Rat, oh, Stephanie's back. And she came in through the front door. Look at that. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. All capitals. Kick the door open. I'm back. Well, Steph, glad you're back. Let me guess, you were out cooking up another brisket. Crag Rat, I've been craving fish and chips since you mentioned it yesterday. I love fish and chips, but after seeing Crag Rat's fish and chips on his plate the other day, I won't be having it anytime soon. Enjoy your coffee. I'm sipping on Iron Brew. There you go. T-Bone Pickens said the U.S. infrastructure won't handle green energy. Mr. Tenball, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The infrastructure right now cannot handle it. It's not there. You don't have the cabling and the wiring and all of the stuff, the infrastructure per se, in the ground to be able to channel the electricity to the cities that was required. I know you're here, I'll give you an example. Okay. And you guys, some of you have heard me use this example before, but I'll give you this example. Okay. Being a retired truck driver. So I'm going to use trucking. Okay. And I'm going to use the Iowa 80. Anybody knows what the Iowa 80 is? It's the world's largest truck stop. It's in Wolcott, Iowa. Okay. It's right along I-80. That's why it's called the Iowa 80. It's in Wolcott, Iowa. Now, the nearest largest city in Iowa is Des Moines. And then there's Davenport, which is to the, I guess it would be a little bit of the southeast of Wolcott. Des Moines is off to the west. So you've got some major cities around Wolcott. Wolcott is basically a four-way stop sign. Okay, it's not really a big town or a big city, but that's where the truck stop is. Now, the Iowa 80 holds 900 trucks. You can park 900 trucks in there at one time. Now, let's just say that the Iowa 80, we're going to convert. The government goes, we're going green, baby. We want electric trucks by 2030. Everything has to be electric. Well, that means all these truck stops have to upgrade, right? They have to upgrade their stuff. So let's just say out of 900 spots, they convert 1/3. That's 300, right? 1/3 to electric. So they've got 300 electric charging stations in there to be able to charge 300 trucks. I can tell you with 100% certainty, okay? 100% certainty. If you plug in 300 electric vehicles in Wolcott, Iowa, you are going to crash the system in Davenport, which is maybe 65 miles away. And the lights will be flickering in Des Moines. You will crash the system. You cannot, the infrastructure is not in place, in the ground. They just don't have it to supply that much demand. Now, that's just a truck stop. Could you imagine if they're looking at doing entire cities? You would have to take the entire city of whatever, Des Moines, Los Angeles, fucking Atlanta. Let's use Atlanta because it's written pretty much in the middle of the country, right? So how the hell are you going to set up the new infrastructure for the city of Atlanta to turn that city green? How? You can't do it. You are literally going to have to rip the city apart to do it. And in doing so, what are you going to do? You're going to rip up the whole, you're going to terrorize the entire population of Atlanta to do it. The infrastructure isn't there. And it's not like it's something they can do. Oh, well, we'll do this little section here. It'll take a year to do this. We'll do this little section here. It doesn't work like that, right? They would literally have to come in and tear up the whole city, rip it all out, and then put the new cabling, the new infrastructure per se. They'd have to put it all into place. Oh, Brian, it's just a little bit of mushy peas. Oh God, no, disgusting. Disgusting. Make sure you cook fish and chips. It's cooked in beef fat. Okay. I've never had it in beef fat. Yeah, mushy peas are gross. I said yesterday, if I was on a deserted island and I had a choice between starving to death painfully and eating mushy peas to survive, I'd happily starve to death painfully. I thought you brought your argument to a debate. A discussion is I don't stand on any point yet. You fucking with me? There's a good point. Our grid here in Texas is always on the edge because the demand is so high. And the infrastructure, Mr. Tenball, the infrastructure is probably 50 years old, depending on where you are in Texas, right? Depending on where you are, the infrastructure is probably 50, upwards 60, 70 years old. It's never been, maybe it's been upgraded in certain areas here and there, but look at the state of Texas is fucking huge, dude. And it's a big population. And it's an oil producing monster for oil and gas, right? So you think of all of the emissions that are burnt in the state of Texas. I think Texas is probably going to be the biggest emission or carbon producing state in the US, if I had to guess. I don't know for sure, right? I don't know for sure. But it's probably the biggest carbon. Now, if you're going to try to turn all that green, do you know what they'd have to do to the state of Texas? Holy shit, man. It would be ridiculous. It would almost be impossible to do. Or like I said, it would take decades to do it. You can't do something like that. Okay, we've got till 2030 to do it, and it's 2025 now. It's never going to happen. You can't do it that fast. Cedar Rapids. What about Cedar Rapids? What did I say, Des Moines? Okay, I said Des Moines. But even still, okay, you'd crash the grid in Davenport, you'd crash the grid in Cedar Rapids, and the lights would still be flickering in Des Moines. You like that? There we go. Imagine the line at the fuel line of all trucks were electric. Well, you couldn't have a fuel island because you can't charge a truck that long. You know, it takes hours to charge a truck. I know with the new cars, the electric cars, you can charge a battery now. I think they got the superchargers. What's that? 45 minutes, maybe an hour. You can do a car, but it's the same thing. You can't have a fuel island for a car and have that car sit in the fuel island with another car parked behind it waiting. No, if you look around here in Canada, all of the charging stations are off to the side and you pull into a spot and you plug in and you pay and you charge your car. And if it, however long it takes, that's how long you sit there. And if somebody has to wait for a spot, then they have to wait for a spot. It would have to be the same way with trucks. You couldn't just have, per se, like we have today, where you have a fuel island where there's 20 pumps and 20, you can't just have 20 chargers sitting there and then 20 trucks are going to roll up and plug in to charge. And then there's going to be a lineup of trucks behind that. That won't work. That won't work. There's not enough land on that truck stop to hold the capacity of trucks it would need. We had a major outage in 2020. I think California is on that problem as well, right? California, if more than 5 people turn on their AC conditioners all at the same fucking time, they crash something. They got rolling brownouts. Is that what they call them? They're always putting on a notice about our current usage. Yeah, but I can guarantee you this: they're probably charging you up the nose for what you're using. Do I think Islam is going to take over Europe? No. Have fun with that. State Auto is coming out with the EV pickup truck. Really? Slate Auto? Sorry. Looks horrific. Better than a Cybertruck, though. I wouldn't exactly. The Cyber trucks they're goofy to look at. They're absolutely ridiculous to look at. I've seen them fail more than I've seen them succeed. Right? I've seen them going through the mud, get stuck. Meanwhile, a fucking Toyota 4Runner, right? Bombing through the mud, no problem. But the Cybertruck can't do it. Same with climbing hills and doing the shit that they said that this thing was going to do with the 4-wheel power, battery, and all the motors. Remember, there's no engine in it. They're electric motors. Nah, come on. Cybertrucks are. So what? They're bulletproof. I don't know where you live, but I don't need a bulletproof car yet. I say yet, right? What is the topic of the live? Dude, we were just talking about electric and green vehicles, whether it be trucks, cars, the infrastructure it's going to take to run them, to charge them, to keep them running. And then, into the cities, with the power that's required. Basically, you're going to need to have, every city is going to have 3 nuclear power generating plants, to power that city with the demand that's going to be drawn because of all the new electric vehicles and green emissions that the government wants to put in place. That's great. You can go green. The government can go green and talk about all these green emissions. How the fuck are you going to fuel it? Like, how are you going to power it? How do you power that? You can't take a city like Los Angeles and say, okay, we're going green, and give them 5 years to do it. What the fuck are you going to get? What the hell are you going to use to power that? You can't put a nuclear power generating plant, to put one every 5 miles apart to power the city of Los Angeles. You just can't do that. I don't know. There's men out there, there's people out there much smarter than me that have probably already thought of this and have a plan and figured it out. And they just haven't. My phone hasn't rang, so nobody called to tell me about it. So I don't know. But the way from the outside looking in, being in the business that I've been in, looking at the emissions and how they're made, and the batteries and how they're made, and the carbon footprint that's left from the purchase, or from the building and the purchase of the batteries going into these cars and these trucks, it's just not possible by the timeline that they've got set out to have green emission vehicles only on the road. You cannot have it because they don't have the infrastructure to power it. You can tell me that all vehicles in the United States have to be green by 2035. That's fine. We will all have our green emission fucking battery powered vehicles, and probably about 75% of us will be sitting with it in our driveway because we can't go anywhere because we can't charge them. Simple as that. Also depends on where you get it. What you're talking about, your power? It depends on where you're at and what you're doing with it. I agree. They are taking steps each year to get the transfer stations ready for power. They have to warm the pipes for natural gas transfer. See, I didn't know that. That's interesting. But even still, like they're taking steps each year, but you can only take so many steps a year, right? Mr. Tenball, you can only take so many steps a year. So how many years of taking steps is it going to take till we can get to the point where it's done? Okay, we're now set up and the infrastructure is set up to go green. We can have nothing but electric vehicles. Like, take a guess. I'm asking you, take a fucking guess at this. How many years away do you see this happening? It's not the 10 years that they're talking about. Ghost, good to see you, man. Took my first breath where the muddy Brazos flows into the Gulf of Mexico, where the skyline's covered by chemical plants, putting bread on the table of a working man. There you go. Um, you're talking about Texas. We have a small wind farm and small solar farm, but I don't know the outcomes for cost via output. Well, again, anybody ever watch that show Landman? Right? It's somebody must have watched it. But they actually said something. One of the lawyers was sitting there. Um, they used those big wind turbines in Texas to power the pumps, right? Because there's no electricity out in certain areas. They just don't run power lines out there. There's no electricity, so they use supposedly what they call clean energy to fuel to power the pumps. And it was put Billy Bob Thornton, who plays the main guy Tommy, um, made the comment that you look at that wind turbine, there's nothing green about it. Absolutely nothing green about it. And the lawyer was like, what cannot be green about wind power? And he said, and he basically did the same thing that I said about the batteries for the cars. He started at the beginning. Well, first, okay, that thing is on an acre piece of land. So that has to be cleared. Does an electric vehicle clear that? No. So that acre of land gets cleared. And then it's going to be an 1 acre pad of concrete that is 12 feet thick, 12 feet deep. Do you know how much diesel gets made to mix that much concrete and to pour it and to do what it has to do to get that in there? And then those things are 400 feet high. You have to bring in cranes and work crews and machinery, all powered by diesel, right? All powered by combustion to put that thing in place and then put all the blades on it. This isn't an overnight operation. You're talking, it takes weeks to do this, right? So then it gets up. Now it's, let's say the wind starts moving and it's generating electricity. The goddamn thing has to be lubricated with oil constantly while it's spinning. So how much oil are you going to go through in the lifespan? So, and they said one of those things has a 20-year lifespan, right? One of those big turbines has a 20-year lifespan. The electricity that turbine produces does not offset the carbon footprint to put it there and make it, to build it and put it there and put it up and put it in place and operate it, right? The 20-year lifespan. And then you got to tear the goddamn thing down when it's no good anymore, and it's got to be either recycled or buried in the ground. So wind turbine, I don't know. I don't have any faith in wind turbine. If in my opinion, I think probably the cleanest or the best, because it's not necessarily solar farms either. I can take you right now out to an area where we've got, I don't know how many acres it is, but it's as far as the fucking eye can see, right? And it's a solar farm. And I'm going to tell you right now, in order to put that solar farm in, they had to destroy more crop, more property, and more shit. And it all had to be done with combustion engines. So I can't say 100% on solar, but I do know that there's a carbon footprint to put a solar farm in. The bigger the farm, the bigger the footprint. I don't know if that solar farm is going to produce enough electricity to offset the carbon footprint that it did. Myself personally, I think probably the cleanest form of generating it is hydroelectric, right? Stick a fucking an electric motor in a river. That's just the base. I'm talking, just off the top of my head. Stick an electric motor in a river, anchor it on both sides and just let the current spin that wheel and produce electricity. Is it eventually going to need oil? Yeah, probably. But is it going to need the type of oil and the amount of power that say turbines need? Again, I don't know. I don't have numbers like that. So We don't have, so you don't know the outcomes for cost versus output. I'd be very interested to know that if I was you, right? Check it out, find out, ask somebody. You can put a primer fusion generator in your truck. Look up primer fusion. Um, okay, I'll check that out. I'm not familiar what primer fusion is, Tyke. I don't know. I do like the Teslas converted to gassers. Yeah, there's been a few people that have taken Teslas, gutted it out, and then put a gas in it. I'd like to see you put a Hellcat engine. Sorry, not a motor. A motor is electric. Engines are combustion. I'd like to see you put, the full-on Hellcat or the Demon. Put the Demon engine. Put that Hemi in a Tesla and watch that thing go. That'd be funny as shit. The funny thing is, that Tesla Model S or whatever it is, the dual, the fast one, that thing will blow the doors off a Hellcat on a quarter-mile stretch. That Tesla would just bury the Hellcat. That hurts me to say, believe me. Uncle Lucius keeps the wolves away. Solar power uses a lot of land that you can't get a tractor around. I agree. They would have to do charging trucks like the old Park and View. In your parking space, you would plug in for your 10 and burn an entire coal car to charge it. Ghost, I agree. I absolutely agree. Unless that area of where it is drawing its electricity from nuclear plants, and the U.S. has nuclear plants, Canada has nuclear plants, but there are more coal burning plants or than there are nuclear plants. Obviously, been there in Texas. Yeah, I'm sure you have. EV vehicles are detrimental to nature because battery production involves lithium, cobalt, and other stuff. We were just talking about that. Exactly. The carbon footprint to produce that battery that battery and that car will never run long enough to offset the carbon footprint. Never mind get ahead of it. It'll never happen. Can you give a gas operated car a boost from a hybrid non plugged in car? I tried yesterday when my gas operated Civic was dead and I was lost trying. RG, that's a good question. Because basically you're giving a boost, you're jumping your battery. So if your Tesla is battery operated, is there somewhere you can sit, hook up a set of cables to a positive and negative and charge and give your Civic a boost? That's a damn good question, man. I don't know. How funny would that be, though, eh? How funny would that be? An electric battery, an electric powered vehicle is given a boost, a jump start to a combustion engine. The funny thing is, in your Civic, which holds 45 liters of gas, so I don't know how many gallons that is, but say 45 liters of gas, but that 45 liters of gas in that Civic is going to take you twice as far as one battery charge on a fucking Tesla. Same arguments were probably said when introducing combustion engines, though, sir. Rig Pig, I don't disagree with you. Okay, when they were going from horse and buggy, right? When they were going from horse and buggy, because that's pretty much what we did, right? And then the Ford brought out the Model A's and all that kind of shit. I agree with you. The infrastructure, but that when you went from horse and buggy, so horsepower to say combustion horsepower, they didn't have to dig up cities and change infrastructure. Yes, they had to maybe widen roads. They had to make better roads so that the cars and trucks could travel on them. They didn't, with a horse and buggy or whatever like that, you could run that down a goat path, for Christ's sake. So yeah, the infrastructure did have to change in that term, right? You had to have better roads, safer roads. You'd have to have lights, stoplights, this, that, and all that kind of shit. I 100% agree with you on that. But is it the same? Would it be the same jump that we need to make from going from combustion cars from a combustion world, or North America is going from combustion to 100% electric? No, the jump from now is probably 20 times what it was going from horse and buggy to car to combustion as going from combustion to all electric. The infrastructure changes are just way, way, way bigger. They're taking a bunch down in North Dakota right now. Those windmills, those turbines, Yeah, well, and I'd be curious, John Deere, to see if they're putting any new ones up or what's going up in their place. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Chasing Ghost is a song. Is a song. Ghost, what am I missing? Did I miss a comment of yours? I'm sorry if I did, Tara. The Cumbria wind farm in England doubled their electric bill. Well, that's the thing. If it's clean energy, right? It's clean energy, and it costs. Let's say each unit has a cost per unit to put up, and I don't know what it is. Well, let's just use a fake number. Let's say it's $5 million. It's way more than that, but let's say it's $5 million. So you're charging the people the electricity that this is producing, right? That generate this wind farm or this turbine is producing electricity. That electricity is being fed into a grid, and you're charging the people for it. Now, once the people have paid enough to offset the cost of what that turbine, shouldn't electricity be free because the wind is free? If I, in certain areas of Canada, if I was to go and take my property, say I had 20 acres of land, and I was to take my home off the grid and go with a couple of wind turbines, I dropped an electric motor into a river and had a hydroelectric power, and I put up a couple solar panels, the government would freak. They would freak. But actually, the first thing they'd want to do is buy electricity off of me. But afterwards, after I told them to go piss up a rope, they'd freak out. They don't want you off the grid, right? So yeah, I think why is our electric bill, my hydro or my electric bill in my place here? My home is only not even 1,200 square feet, right? It's a 3-bedroom townhouse. It's 1,200 square feet. It's not big by any means, but to heat this fucking place in the high like now they we're running the furnace now, so there's another. I'm going to be paying gas and electricity because the furnace takes electricity to run, and it needs gas to fucking heat the house. So now, because I've had those turned off all summer, that bill is now going to go up. That bill to heat this house and the electricity to run it, okay, is ridiculous. We are charged absolutely ridiculous prices for this in Canada, yet we produce more electricity. We sell the whole eastern seaboard of the United States is powered. And you guys are gonna, if you don't know this, you're not going to be happy. Some of you already know this, but the whole eastern seaboard, or primarily a good portion of the eastern seaboard of the United States, is powered by Canadian electricity. You guys are buying your electricity out of Ontario and Quebec. I don't know if you remember, like last year there, where Ford, the premier of Ontario, was going, we're going to shut this, we're going to shut it off if you fuckers don't get your shit together, right? Because Trump wanted to tariff electricity, he wanted to tariff this, and Rob Ford just went, fine, we'll shut this, well, fucking here, click, turn it off. You don't have the infrastructure down there to power those cities. What the fuck are you going to do? But yet we're selling it to you guys, but yet we're paying ridiculous prices for it here. We need hydrogen fueled cars. That's not a bad idea. They've already got it. They got hydrogen fueled. They got hydrogen fueled trucks. They got hydrogen fueled vehicles. You can do it. It's not hard. It's absolutely not hard at all. Is it reliable? I don't know. I can't speak. I don't know. I don't own one. I've never driven one. I've never worked on one. I've never anything like that. So I can't say with 100% certainty how that works. But I do know it's clean energy. What hydrogen? What's the byproduct of hydrogen? So you're going to drive down the road dripping water out of your exhaust pipe? Okay, that's not a problem. Hello, I'm Deer. Okay, you're here. Good to see you, Deer. So did they change? So they did have to change infrastructure, dummy. Thanks for calling me a dummy. I appreciate that. Yeah, they had to change the infrastructure, but not to the degree that they're going to have to change it to go from horse and buggy to car to combustions, going from here to here, right? From this level to this level. To go from combustion to all electric, it's going to go from here up to there. That's the difference. Okay? That's the difference. Thanks for calling me a dummy, though. Mr. B is from North Carolina. Good to see you. How the hell are you doing this morning? You're probably busy. writing text messages to people. I got yours. I don't know how to respond to that. Really, I don't. Love you to death. I don't know how to respond to that. If you want to rewrite it and send it to me in another way, or call me and we'll talk about it. But if I get it, when I get a text message like that and I don't know how to respond to it, I just don't. So I have too much respect for you to not say anything. It took decades to build the infrastructure for cars, you clown. First half of the 20th century. Exactly. But it's you're talking about decades. It didn't take decades, okay? Because well, maybe it took decades, but there was no time limit on it. They didn't say, okay, from 19, you've got from 1925 to 1935 to get that infrastructure. Christoph, you just said, and if you need to call me a clown to get your point across, talk. You want to debate, be polite about it, would you? You can go fuck off. Okay. It took decades for that infrastructure, but nobody had put a time limit on it. Here, they've put a fucking time limit on it. They're saying by 2035, everything has to be electric, or maybe they might expand that. So to go from here all the way to here, it's 2025, and they're going to have it done by 2035. I'm telling you this right now, you clown. It won't be done. It can't be done. There's way too much. Thanks for the comment, but just, you know what? Be polite. My guess is it will be like toll roads. They never stop charging you for them. You know what? Exactly. You know what? It would not surprise me that eventually in the future, because we've already got toll roads. New York, PA, are fucking. There's more toll roads. I think even Texas has toll roads. A lot of states got toll roads. Illinois. I think you're going to see a lot more of it because it's going to be basically emergency cash grabbing. They're going to need a huge influx of money, and the only way they can do it is put tolls on the road. It may also be used as a deterrent. Okay, you're going to drive your gas powered vehicle. You're going to pay a toll on the road. If you're driving an electric, you don't pay the toll. Tyke, I agree with that. Yeah, 100%. Nuclear power stations are carbon free, but the waste is the problem, right? And it's expensive. What do you do? What do you do with nuclear waste? You can do one of two things. You can dig a very, very big hole and you can bury it, which is not good for the planet, or you can blast it off out into space. But once it's nuclear, once something's radioactive, it's radioactive for what, 1,000 years, 2,000 years? I don't know what it is. Newsom, I'm reporting you. Oh, knock yourself out. We started getting power from Canada after 3 Mile Island. That powered the zone, and we just never built another power plant. So now, like I said, now there's certain areas of the United States that are dependent upon Canadian electricity. But yet, you guys are probably, and this is shameful on the Canadian government. Well, it's not even the Canadian government, because hydroelectric appears it's run by Ontario Hydro or Saskatchewan Hydro or whatever the province is. It's not even the federal government. They're selling it to you, and you guys are, Mr. Beast, you're probably paying less for your electricity if you're purchasing it from Canada than I am, and I'm in Canada. I pay more for my electricity here, and I'm producing the goddamn shit and selling it to you. Stephanie saying hi to Mr. Bees. The primer fusion is a hydrogen and a barium nuclear fusion generator, and it works. I don't know how comfortable, Tyke, I am, driving down the road with a bomb, a nuclear bomb, parked behind me, or sitting underneath me. I'm sitting on it. I'm joking. It's not a nuclear bomb. But I don't know. Again, Tyke, you're ahead of me you're ahead of the curve on this with me. I don't know enough. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say I don't know enough about it. Brother, I don't know anything about that. Christoph, it's good. You want to, we're all good. Anybody wants to come in and talk, you can talk. You can say anything you want. I'll listen to anything. I'll talk about it. We can bounce it back and forth. Just be respectful. As soon as you don't get, as soon as you get out of line or get disrespectful, especially with other people in the chat, you want to come at me, that's fine, because I can defend myself, and I will, as you guys just saw. But if you get disrespectful emails in the chat, Tyke or Cragrat or something like that, they're going to stomp your nuts. So, but hey, we're good. Emotions get up. I'm no different. I get my emotions get the better of me. I get a little worked up. Trust me, Christoph, you've never seen a fucking good time until you've seen me get, usually somebody or something will trigger me and I will go off on a rant. The last time I went off on a really good rant, YouTube ended the stream and took the channel down. So it happens to all of us. We're all good. It was hard to convince people to build another power plant in that area after that happened. Well, why would you? Why would you pay for the construction of another power plant when you're buying it so cheaply from Canada? I can't blame. Whoever's making those decisions, you can't blame them, right? You're getting electricity cheaper from Canada than you can produce it yourself. How about this drone delivery driverless vehicle shit? Oh, dude, I'm just not looking forward to that. It's already happening. Amazon, now in the area where I live, I've not seen any of the drones or anything like that. I've seen drones flying around, but it's just kids or bullshit or a lot of the guys that are doing the AG guys that are doing the screening for the land and measurements and all that. They're using drones now. It's controlled by and done by GPS, and that kind of stuff is being done. But I've not seen any Amazon deliveries out where I am here. I'm looking forward to the day when I'm standing on my front porch and my Amazon package gets delivered onto my front lawn. And then I can't wait to see somebody come along and porch pirate me and steal my shit. We put all our nuke crap in a huge cave in the Cheyenne Mountain. Exactly. Now, eventually, Mr. B, that cave is going to get full. And what are they going to do? They're going to empty out another mountain. Well, what are you going to do? Eventually, something's got to give. These mountains are all, what are you going to say? After 500 years, they're going to have a whole mountain range that's radioactive? I don't know. I don't know. It's not the safest and best way to dispose of nuclear waste, but at the current moment, it's the only way to dispose of it. So, Mr. B, meanwhile, I can drive around and see like 6 bomb silos. Yeah. How funny is that, eh? How funny is that? You can't get electricity, but there's fucking nuclear bomb silos all over the goddamn place. Same going through North and South Dakota. You see all these sheds out in the middle of nowhere. That's not a fucking shed. It's actually a fucking silo. If you walk in the door of that shed, walk down a flight of stairs, there's a whole goddamn city under there with bombs in it. No, your country cannot break that agreement. Yeah, well, I don't think they ever would, because we make too much money on it. We truly do. We make more money selling electricity. Same with oil and gas. Right. Well, the reason we don't use our own oil and gas is because we make more money selling it to everybody else. It's stupid, right? We could be paying $1 a gallon for gas up here in Canada if they would produce, if they use our own oil and gas for oil production or for gas to make gas and diesel. We'd only be paying $1 a gallon for it, if not less. Right. But why on God's green earth would they do that when they can sell it to third world countries for fucking stupid prices? From a business standpoint, it makes sense. From a population and a nation standpoint, it doesn't make sense. You've got a nation paying ridiculous amounts of money for gas when you've got the ability and the capability to fucking make it yourself, produce it yourself, and sell it to your own people at a reduced rate. This is just my opinion, but I don't think the main problem is the source or availability of the energy, but the corporate goals behind distributing them, meaning cheap energy will eventually be expensive. Well, eventually it does, right? When they eventually at one point when they started way back when they brought they've had coal mines or coal powered plants, and they've had hydroelectric plants, and then when they came online with nuclear power plants, they were supposed back then they were going, this is a new thing, this is wonderful, right? And this was what, in the 60s, I think. Mr. B would probably know. but it was back in the 60s. They're going, okay, it's clean, it's got clean energy, it produces it's nonstop, it's sustainable, everything like that. This is going to bring the price of power down, and and we don't have to run these coal. And they did. And for a small time being, I bet you the price of power or electricity probably dropped back in the 60s and early 70s. And then what happened? Eventually, they're going, well, fuck it. Why are we taking a cost? Why are we making only this much on it? We could be making this fucking much on it. You're probably absolutely right. My bills have increased to the point that they are taking my entire check. Sometimes has to go. Most of the country is like this. We don't care about BS numbers. We care about what we can feel. Well, I know I can relate to that, because, like I said, at my age, I've seen different generations go through, and I'm not old by any means, but I've noticed now that, Tara, it's not just your electric bills and your general expenses. It's everything, right? It used to be you had to pay your hydro, you had to pay your electric, and you had to pay your what? You had to pay for your food. Those were the big three to live in and you had to pay your mortgage. Now it's everything is expensive, right? Everything on the cost of living chart is, I don't know where it is. I don't know what percentage it is, but let's just say it's gone up about 1,000%. I said yesterday, Tara, I don't know how the kids of today, meaning my children, they'll never be able to buy a house. My daughter Brianna and her boyfriend, 2-income family, and they're still no kids, just the two of them, and they still struggle to pay bills and to live and to have enough money to maybe go out for dinner once in a while, or and I'm not saying that they've got shitty jobs or they're underpaid, they're uneducated. These are kids that are educated, have college or university educations, that have decent jobs, that are paying decently and well, and there's two of them doing it, and yet they're still struggling. Why? Because the fucking economy and the cost of living and inflation are rising faster than these kids can keep up. It's to the point now where inflation has walked away from these kids of the next generation. They'll never catch up, and they're never going to stop, and inflation will never stop. You may be part of that. I don't know how old you are. I said it before. If they was interested in helping, if every car would have solar panels in the paint. There's 100 ways to go about this, Mr. Bees. You and I could probably, sit a whole afternoon and come up with 1,000 different ways to do things. But is it feasible? Can it be done? Can it be, per se, can be put in place for mass production? I don't know. Maybe some of our ideas would, yeah. But some of our ideas definitely wouldn't. Hello, I'm watching the broadcast in Korea. Excuse me, but you look a lot like Richard Gere. I don't know how to take that one. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching from Korea. Hanging out in Korea. Never been to Korea. I don't think I'd mind going. I'd like to maybe go check it out. I'd probably be the tallest guy in the country, though. There was a guy in the 90s and 2000s who discovered a shell company at an address in London who owned a disused mine in Anglesey, Wales, and we're dumping nuclear waste down that mine. He died. Surprise. I guarantee you, Robert, if you think that every bit of nuclear waste in the United States is going into these designated areas, we're probably fooling ourselves to think that. Okay, we're probably fooling ourselves. It cost Mrs. B and I about $100 a month to power this house. 132, Mrs. B's just said. That's every month. We're on this budget thing they have. Equal billing. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. B? Equal billing? Yeah, I'm not surprised. We're not on equal billing. It's available to us, but we're not. And I'm going to be honest, and I'm actually a little bit ashamed to say this. I know that Victoria just paid the bill the other day, but I can't remember what it was, what my electric bill was, I'm not 100% sure. If she's watching right now, she can probably send me a text. Well, how much was the electric bill? How much was our bill that we paid the other day? Do you refine in Canada? Mr. Tenball, yeah, we do. We do have refineries, but it's refined and then sold and shipped out, right? It's not very little. Okay, years and years and years ago, back in the 80s, the Canada had something, it was called Petro Canada. And it's still alive today. It's still going today. And there were a line of gas stations that were opened up that were supposed to um, and it's refineries. So the refineries were supposed to come online, and it was supposed to be to supply the Canadian people. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to get back. So my electric bill, okay, my electric bill is that Victoria just paid is $289.10, Mr. Bees. That's what on a 1,200 square foot fucking townhouse. There you go. Is that insane or what? You know, that insane or what? But anyway, what had happened is Petro Canada was supposed to be there for the people, right? It was supposed to be there for the Canadian people. We were going to pull our own oil out of the ground, which we do, and we sell it all, and most of it goes overseas or down to third world countries or to the US. But we were supposed to pull our own oil out of the ground. It was supposed to go to the Petro Canada refinery. From there, it was going to be converted into diesel, gas, or whatever they needed, right? And then it was to go to the Petro Canada gas stations that were put all the way across Canada. And the process happened and it kicked off and it kind of went for a while, but then it was like, no. Next thing you know, it got bought. The fucking government sold Petro Canada to a private corporation. What did that private corporation did? They took the refineries, they took all the shit, they started shipping it all overseas. And the Petro Canada gas stations, right now, there's one that's not even a half a mile away from me right now, and they got the most expensive gas in Strathmore. So they tried that. It's corporate greed. The government will do it to a point till it makes enough money, and then they're going to sell it off to private. And once it's in private hands, they can do whatever the fuck they want with it. And that's what they did with Petro Canada. So $100 a month. So there, I paid 189 bucks, 189 bucks and 10 cents for hydro. Anybody want to change? Anybody want to change houses? I'll be happy. Man, I'll be happy to pay $110, or I'm sorry, Mr. Bees, whatever you said, $100. Whew, I'd be happy to pay that. We don't care about EV or emissions. We care about groceries costing hundreds of dollars more per week, insurance rising, rent and mortgage going up, property taxes costing thousands more. I'm going to post that. Tara, I couldn't have said that better. I don't give a flying fuck about EVs either. You guys know how I feel about EVs. I could care fucking less about electric vehicles. I'm more concerned, and not even so much for me, Ghost, not even so much for me about, my rent or my insurance I'm more concerned about my children. I've got 6 fucking kids, and every single one of them, like I said, is college or university educated, and they're out there killing themselves trying to keep their heads above water. Ghost, you sound like you're in the same boat. You drive truck and you're good at it and you've been doing it a long time. And yet fucking, you'd have to drive for 95 hours a week, never mind a 70-hour week, to get ahead in this world. Why? Because the world economy and inflation are going like that. And we are moving like this. It's just walking away from us. The gap is so wide now, you'll never catch up. They do that in the winter and then again in the summer. So we really don't pay anything for electricity. Okay. Red Lady, good to see you. How are you? Good morning. That's why you see more kids moving back home with their parents. I agree. Red Lady, I absolutely agree. You see a lot of it, or you see kids not moving out. They're staying at home as they grow up. They go to, they finish high school. They're living at home still. They go to, they go to university or college. They stay at home. They go out into the workforce. They're still living at home. And it's not until they've been out in the workforce for a few years that they've, able to put enough of themselves together that they can go out into the world on their own. But by then they're in their 30s, they're in their 30s. And I can't blame them. I've been in that position as a parent, right? Knowing full well that, that child is going to be living here, or the reason that child is living here is because it's just unfathomable for them to go and try to fucking do it on their own. And you know what? As a father and as a parent, I got no problem with that. And when they finally do move out and they get out on their own, you know what? I'll do the best I can to prop them up, to help them up, to help them out, because it's just not fair. It's one of those where, in my generation, if we were going, oh, that's not fair, we were bitching, moaning, and complaining and just feeling sorry for ourselves. A lot of the kids these days, the ones that, I don't mean the ones that are sitting around unemployed that don't want to work. I'm talking about the ones that are out there fucking working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and they're doing their best. They're trying hard. They're giving their all, and they're just not able to fucking cut it. When they go, oh, it's just not fair, I can agree with that. I absolutely can. I'm no socialist, but price caps and other marketing limiting laws have to be passed to avoid corporate exploitation. All I'm going to say is one thing about that. Good luck. Good luck. Because in order to put price caps on stuff like that with the corporate in the corporate world, that has to come from a federal level. And where do you think all the politicians get their money from on the federal level? Is from the large corporations. So you're telling me you're going to kneecap a corporation and then expect them to give $20 million worth of donations to your campaign? Not going to happen, man. Not going to happen. Yeah, cunt, we're old and proud. I'm old doesn't mean I ain't fit, and I still box sometimes. Lugs if they deserve it. There you go. I'll go a few rounds with you, Robert. Just be gentle with me. It's my first time. Remember, everything made today is mass machine produced, not mass man produced. And that's a very good point as well. You know, and the reason that is because you can, in the span of 1 hour of mass machining something, you can make 500 of something. If it's done manually, you're going to make 50. So what does that corporation want? Do they want 500 an hour made going out the fucking door, or do they want 50 of them made an hour going out the door? Corporate. What's our gas price? Lugs is a Yorkshire word for ears. Okay. You do not look like Richard Gere. Well, thanks. Like I said, I wasn't sure how to take that. What's your gas price, Mr. 10 Ball? Up here in Canada, it's done by the liter. So right now it's $1.36 or $1.37 or something like that a liter. So take $1.37. Here, let's do this. Take $1.37 times, there's 3.79 liters in a gallon. So that's $5.19 a gallon. Canadian funds. So hold on. $5.19 Canadian is going to be about three. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but let's just say it's probably about 350, 375 a gallon, or 375, 350, 375 a gallon for gas, US. Ballpark. I'm ballparking that. I don't know what it is because I don't know what the exchange rate is. 250 a gallon in Texas. Yeah, we're probably easily $1, if not more. When gas was ridiculous, getting out of hand during COVID and other shit like that, after the conversion was done, we were paying like better price or worse prices than say California. After the conversion from liters to gallons and from Canadian dollars to US dollars, we were north of $7 a gallon for certain times. It was ridiculous. Got to go play in the shop. Call me later. Still love you, bro. Everyone have a great day. All right. Talk to you later, Mr. Bees. Thoughts on government affiliated individuals getting free gas? I don't know about that. I've never heard of it. Do they get free gas? I don't know. I guess if you're a government employee, a senator, a congressman, I know they don't pay for gas. Like what? Any government employee, do they get free gas? How do I feel about that? No. I think our government officials do not earn the money they're making just in their base salaries, never mind all the fucking bribe money they take. So why should they get free gas? Why? Because you're a person that is supposed to be there serving me as a government official. As a government official, you technically you work for me, the taxpayer. You are there to guide and represent me, not rule me. You don't rule me. So why should you get free gas, free hotels, free car, free limousines, free everything? You're making 200 plus thousand a year. You can afford your own shit. Why should you get free on top of that? Absolutely not. My daughter back home, and she is embarrassed by it. I keep telling her she shouldn't, but I raised her to be independent. Red Lady, you're not alone. You are not alone. I can't say no. I've never had a daughter. I've never had one of the kids move out and have to move back in. But I have seen one of my kids, or a couple of times with two of the kids, I've seen them move out, and then something happened, and they rock bottom out, and they struggle. And I mean, like they're struggling. They're rolling the couch cushions for change to pay the bills. But then you know what? A Red Lady, I've been there. I've been there in my life. We've all been there, but you don't want to watch your children do it. And by all means, absolutely tell your daughter she has nothing to be ashamed of. If one of my kids came to me right now and said, "Dad, like, okay, the plant or whatever job you're doing, the place I'm working is closing down. They've just laid us all off. I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my bills. Can I stay at your place for a while?" Absolutely. Absolutely. There's the bedroom, there's a bed, do what you got to do, get yourself back up on your feet. I would have no qualms whatsoever, Crystal, of telling any of my kids, come on back home. Absolutely. Just figure out my bills, just what I pay banks and insurance companies. It's 70,000 per year. I didn't include gas, groceries, clothes, or any of that. That is insane. You pay $70,000 a year. Banks of what I figure out your bills. So like even I'm just doing rough math on my own. I'm nowhere close to $70,000. Really, that's a lot. That is a lot. Like I don't even think. I'll be honest with you. I don't even think the average American. What's the average income for the United States? Your expenses are probably more than the average income of the United States. $70,000 US. Tara, that's like 100 grand Canadian. It's over $100,000 Canadian. Jesus Christ. I'd be struggling too if my expenses a year were $100,000. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I really don't. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Keep it respectful and PG-13 in the comments, everybody. Black Mask. This channel is rated as adult only. We're doing our best right now. To keep it pretty much cleaned up. In the chat, I haven't seen anything in the chat that's really out of hand. But this channel is marked as an over 18, and we do put it in the chat that this is an over 18 channel, just only so that if a 13 or a 12-year-old or they're watching this and they hear me say the occasional cuss word, I don't get any angry emails from any pissed off mothers saying that my son was watching you and he heard you say the F word. Well, that's not on me. I've got the channel marked appropriately, and we do put it up in the chat occasionally that this is an over 18 channel. American Aisher Talk. I don't know what that is. Does that mean I'm talking out my ass? I'm talking bullshit? I'm telling truth? I'm telling facts? What does that mean? Anybody? Somebody want to tell me what Claudia is talking about there, please? 30 to 40K is the average. Is that the average income in America? 39,982 is the average, supposedly. Are you fucking crazy, dude? I paid more than that. I paid more than that in tax last year. Honestly, I paid more in that in taxes than that's the average American income. It means American in German. Okay. So it's American talk. Is that what that is? American talk? Well, Claudia, it can't be American talk. I'm Canadian. So does that mean I'm a Canadianizer talk? Sorry, I'm just being a dick. It was just too easy. It's easy for me to slip and be a dick every once in a while. So yeah, $39,982. Never mind my business, what it pays in taxes, but just personal income tax. $39,000. Holy shit. That's the average income. Okay, so let's convert that to American. So yeah, you're probably about 52, what, 53, $54,000. So the average is still 54,000. I don't know what the average income is in Canada. But I don't think it's that low. I think the average income in Canada is probably close to 60,000. Anybody want to Google that for me? My Googleatron doesn't work. I need a Googleatroner. I need a Googleatroner is what I need. I need somebody to sit and just Google for me. Usually Robert's Usually Robert's pretty good for that, but he's working right now. So Robert's only good with the Googleatron when he's fact checking me, right? And that's when he's usually fact checking me and kicking me in the ass. But I don't know what I make like 29, 30 a year at 19 an hour after taxes. Again, that's American. So you're probably 30 a year, you're probably close to about 45,000, 47,000. 57,000 is average Canadian income as of 2023. Okay, so John Deere, convert that to American, you're probably close to about what? 40 grand, 35,000, 40 grand. So it's probably not all that different. But again, as I'm making a point to go all the way back to what Chasing Ghost was saying, right? If your expenses are your cost to live, to pay your bills, your rent, or your mortgage, and your everyday living expenses, if they're $70,000, holy Christ, that's a lot. And if the average American income is only what'd you say, $45,000 or 39,000, now say 40 grand. How do you sustain yourself? You have to be in the upper echelon of income to just afford to pay your bills. Luckily for me, I'm in a position where it's a two-income household, right? It's a two-income household, and one of the households, or one of the incomes, is well above the average, right? Like if the average was, what would you say, 57,000, you can double that, and that's where our one of our incomes is at, and that's and then the other income picks up the slack or whatever. So I'm in a position where I'm fortunate. But if you're a single person making $57,000 a year, I don't imagine you're living too comfortably, unless you're living in a cardboard Maytag dishwasher box under a bridge somewhere, otherwise, or if you're a truck driver and you're just living in your truck, and you're doing that year after year after year, and you don't have a mortgage, you don't have rent, you don't have child support, you don't have if you're a truck driver, I guarantee you've got at least one or more ex-wives. But if your expenses are down to the bare fucking minimum, you'd probably do okay at 57 or what do you say? So $40,000 is the average income. But Jesus Christ, I can't see anybody these days doing it. I really can't. Hazel Finich slammed by BBC. Jesus, what a handle on that! Look at that go. Holy crap. Try harder. Look at this. I think it got deleted. Can I get a just in time? No, it didn't get deleted. Try harder. Do better. Whoever you are, man or woman, be a better person. Jesus Christ. I live with 4 people. If I were alone, I'd be struggling. 4 including myself. Okay, so there's a 4-person income in that house. Yeah. and let me be 100% honest. Yes, our household has well above average income, but our expenses have been, are very managed, right? Victoria keeps very tight control. I don't mean control over the money, but she keeps tight control over where our money goes and how much do we, all of our living expenses are very well are kept at a very low. We don't splurge on stupid shit. If we need it, we go buy it. If we don't need it, we don't necessarily. But because you live like that, you can afford to. Because if you live that way with that kind of thinking, you can usually afford to live better. Wheel burner Rig Pig's going to ask me a personal question. Sure, knock yourself out. I have things. I make six figures because I pull a bomb through traffic. I'm struggling because the cost rising. The kids are screwed. I get a lot of this when it was cheaper. Bought my home for 60 grand. Jesus Christ. You bought your home for 60 grand? You can't buy a camper trailer in Canada for 60 grand. I you know what? Ghost, I be honest with you, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I make six figures. I have an idea of what you make because of the freight that you pull, and I know what you pull and the dangers involved in doing it. So you make a premium wage, right? You're not pulling freight for fucking $45,000 a year. I know that. But still, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say. If there's a way, all I can say is if there's a way that you can cut your costs, your personal living costs, do it. If you can't, I don't know what to say. Bought my house at six. I was when I was cheaper. Bought my house at $60,000. Is your house paid for? If you don't mind me asking, is your house paid for? Is that the same flag that used to be in your truck? Yeah. Actually, Rig Pig, you want to know a secret? I'll tell you a secret right now. Okay. Or I'll show you. That's not a flag. That's actually not a flag at all. It's not a banner. If you want to know what it is, it's a blanket. It's a blanket. It's just a big blanket. It was actually, yeah, it's a blankie. There you go, John Deere. It's a blankie. My kids had that made for me. They took my logo, right? The Wheel Burner logo, and they had that blanket made. And in the beginning, I used to just have it draped at the foot of my bed in the truck. And then I saw, who did I see do it? I saw somebody, I think it was Narc. I think it was Narc at that time. He put something up with his name, and I just got the idea, and somebody else said something to me. And so I took it in the truck and I pinned it along the edge of the upper bunk so it would hang and it looked like it was a banner. But yeah, the whole time it's actually not even it's not a flag, it's not a banner. It's just a fucking blanket. And it's warm. It's actually quite warm. If you put it across the foot of your bed, it'll keep your feet nice and toasty warm all night. Joss X Gaming, good to see you. How are you, man? I hope you're doing great. You know what? I'm out here experimenting with the high cost of low living, just like everybody else, brother. Hopefully you're doing the same and doing well. Chicken Hawk, hello, you sexy beasts. Oh, you're not talking to them, you're talking to me. We had this talk yesterday, Chicken Hawk, and nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed between you and I yesterday is that I just got a little bit better looking and you just got a little bit better. I don't know. I don't know what else I don't know what you got, but God damn it, I can't get any sexier. But to come back tomorrow, and I will, I guarantee you. J Ray, good to see you, man. Saying hi to Chicken Hawk. You should have it as merch. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, John Deere. I have a merch store through YouTube, and I don't endorse it. I don't advertise it. I don't push it. I don't want you guys buying jack shit out of that store. It is a freaking ripoff. It really is. Okay. First of all, I make jack shit on it. YouTube gets the majority of the chunk of change on it. It's not worth it. So I don't advertise. It's there. I am going to take it down eventually when Victoria and I have looked at some shit and we've changed some things on the channel. That store will be coming down. And then when I originally started this channel, I had my own merch. It was being done like either by me or by another person. And as you wanted to order it, you could order it through the channel, or you could order it through email or whatever like that, and we just ship it out to you. And that way, you guys would pay a much lower price. Like I think a wheel burner T-shirt on the channel is like fucking $40. Who pays $40 for a goddamn T-shirt? Unless I'm going to put that wheel burner T-shirt on and all of a sudden miraculous, a cape is going to come out of it and I can leap tall buildings in a single bound. I'm not paying $40 for a T-shirt, and I wouldn't expect any of you to do it either. So that's another area that I'm going to look down the road at. Is we're going to get rid of that merchandise store. Why should YouTube make a dime off this? Right? They already take 30% of any super chats that come in. They make, they take money off everything. My AdSense, my ad revenues and all that. They take their cut. They're like the mob. So why should they make anything on merchandise? So no, we're gonna get rid of that. I don't like that. So please don't ever go and buy my own fucking my merch. Can't you create your own site? Yeah, you can. There are some guys out there that have done it and have done it successfully. You can create your own website with your own merchandise. It can be done. Again, like I said, I'm going to look at other aspects. That's one of them right there. Brian has an obscure opinion of himself. Chicken Hawk, I'm great. I know I'm great. So what's the problem? Okay. When you attain the level of sexiness that I'm at, son, just sit back and look and gaze and ponder and just admire. Okay. Quit bitching and complaining, snotting and bawling. Jesus Christ. I'm doing pretty good. I've been working from 7 to 7 doing so worth drainage electric grading. Holy shit. Literally living my life, making a ton of money out of my hard work. I love working, man. You know what, Josh? Good for you. It's nice to hear that. It's nice to hear somebody actually say that I'm working hard and I'm enjoying my life and I'm enjoying working hard, because the majority of people that have to work hard bitch and gripe and moan and snot and bawl and complain and talk about it, and there's no gratitude towards them. They could be making fucking 130, 150, 200,000 a year and they'd still complain about it. So I don't know if any of you have noticed. Okay. But since I made those comments about YouTube being like the mob, my algorithm dropped. Doink. You tell me they're not listening. I have multiple personality disorders. So yeah, we JD. 30% is crazy. It is crazy. It is. 30% is crazy, right? Cars will be paid in 2.5 years, bikes 3 on 4 years, home in 6. And if there's anything left for me, I'm never financing anything again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ghost. Cash is king. Cash is still king. If you can pay cash for it. I'm not saying pay cash for your house, for if you people can do that. But don't use credit cards, don't use lines of credit unless you absolutely have to. Unless you do what I do, right? So I have a credit card and I buy everything on my credit card. Everything. I pay for my gas, my groceries, everything, my everyday days to days, my coffees, my this and whatever. I buy everything on my credit card. But then that credit card gets paid in full. I never carry a balance and I never pay any interest. So if you can take all of your life's expenses and put it, and the only reason I do that is because it's a credit card that offers me rewards for something that I use a lot of. So I don't pay for it. Like I don't pay for flights, right? Or if I do pay for flights, I pay very little for a flight to fly anywhere I want to go. Why? Because I use this particular credit card and then I pay it off. So I'm not paying, the credit card's not making any money off me off interest, but yet I'm accumulating and accruing massive points towards my flights. So, and that's why I do that. I'm 33, just bought a $50,000 car. Nice. When I was 33, what was I driving? I was driving probably a $55,000 Honda Odyssey. What do you call it? Minivan. Damn. You're doing better than me. I was driving a loser cruiser. Or at least hopefully you're driving a nice car. You're fucking sanding. Only the health can put me down at this point. Yeah, there you go. What's so worth electric drainage? I don't have a clue, but it sounds complicated and I like hard work. And guys like you and me, Chicken Hawk, are going to stay the hell away from it. I wanted to move, can't do it, can't afford it, can't buy another home for less than $200 per month, $2,000 per month note. All my neighbors are in the same boat. And no one stays in new homes long, can't afford them. A lot of that is happening up here in Canada as well. I can relate to that. I can't relate necessarily as if to say that I've been in that position, because Ghost, I haven't. I bought my first home when I was in my 20s, right? And then bought that home, paid a good portion of that home, made very good money on it, flipped it, then bought a bigger, then flipped it, then, and so much and so forth. But I was lucky, right? I was lucky. You can't do that today. And you're obviously in a position where that will not work for you. You can't sell your house right now. Let's just say you paid 60 grand. If you were to sell your house right now, could you sell it for $200,000? Right. And have 140. Well, you'd only have about 120,000 left over after you pay your real estate fees and lawyers. Right. So then you'd have 120,000 left over. Could you take that 120,000 and flip it into another $200,000 home, or 200, or say you'd want to upgrade. So you'd want to move into a $300,000 home, right? And then you carry a mortgage. Are you able to do something like that? If you're able to do something like that, then I advise you do. But it doesn't sound like, with the cost of living and what's going on with you, you can't, not really feasible for you to do. I got a Gladiator blue and black hardtop. Gladiator. That's a Dodge. That's a Chrysler. Isn't a Gladiator like a Jeep? I don't have credit or a credit card. When I understood the money system and there is no money, only credit, I stopped using credit. Robert, well, that's a good point as well. It really is. I use credit to basically make money. I use my credit card because I make enough money using my credit card monthly that when it comes time for me to fly to France, I don't pay for a fucking $3,000 flight. Or when I want to go to the Dominican Republic, I don't pay for a flight, right? So I will use the credit card and I'll use the credit system, but I don't pay into it. I don't pay interest on my credit card because before the end of the month, I pay the bill off in full. So you only pay interest when you carry a balance. That's why they say, oh, John Deere, your minimum balance or your minimum payment is $150. So let's say you've got a $3,000 or a $5,000 card. That them telling you your minimum payment is $150 is actually a suggestion. They're suggesting that you pay that. They're not warning you that, oh, your minimum payment, don't pay anything less than 150. It's actually a suggestion. That's all they want you to pay. They want you to keep that. If you've got a $5,000 or a $10,000 card, they want you to keep that fucking card cranked out at $10,000 and you're paying the interest on that. That's how they're making their money. I don't play that way. I don't play into that game. I use the credit card for what I want it for. I use that credit card for all of my daily living and monthly expenses at the end of the month, or actually not even at the end of the month. We don't wait till the end of the month. We wait payday. Payday comes, whatever's on there at payday gets paid. Next payday comes, whatever the balance is, it gets paid. But a balance never gets carried, not a penny of interest ever gets paid. But I fly for fucking cheap. Ghost, do you live in America or Canada? Ghost lives down U.S. She's a U.S. girl. I pretty much build developments, all roads, all utilities, all the site work, all the digging and grading, all the pipe. I'm never done learning, and I'm always 100% productivity. You're always 100% predictive. But good on you. Like I said, me and Chicken Hawk ain't doing none of that. Not at my age. Sorry, Robert. If all debt credit was settled, no currency money would exist. That's true. Absolutely true. Hop on or get the fuck out of the way. You know what? I love your attitude, man. I really do. Do you guys hear that? Was my stomach growling. Am I the only one that heard that? I hope you guys didn't hear it. That was actually that wasn't bad. That wasn't good. Hop on or get the fuck out of the way. You know what? Again, Josh, love your attitude. Keep going. But just remember this. You are in a high impact industry. Physical. I mean, you're a physical job. There's always a lot of moving, bumping, grinding, up, down, this, that, lifting, shit like that. Take care of yourself, dude, at your age. Okay. Would you say you're 33? At 33, you're still fairly young. You're still a young man, right? You're still a very young man. In the event that you actually hurt yourself, please don't do what I did. I used to, run around thinking I was bulletproof. If I hurt myself, I never once availed myself of the proper medical attention. And now at 55, if you're 33 and I'm 55, right? I'm a generation ahead of you. But just think, if you do what I did when you're 55 at my age, I need both hips replaced, I need one knee replaced, and I need a major back surgery. Why? Because I didn't take care of myself. I didn't avail myself of proper, medical attention when it should have. So at your age, doing what you're doing, and yeah, you're killing it, and you're thinking, oh, well, I lifted wrong and I hurt my back, but I'll take a couple Advil or a couple of Tylenol, and I make such good money, I can't afford to stop. I don't want to stop. You know what? Take the loss and pay and get yourself recovered, because that pay that you're not losing and the pay that you're making is not going to help you when you're 55. People want houses that are too big. My house is 1,518 square feet, 0.9 meters. That's all I need. Hey, I agree. Chicken Hawk, you've been to my house, or you've been to one of my houses. You and Karen came out to the country house. You saw how big that thing was, right? That was a 5-bedroom bungalow, dude. That's a big house. I went from that to another large house, not quite as large as that, up in Lacombe. And right now I'm living in your house is 1,500 square feet, dude. My house right now, the one I'm living in right now, is 1,200 or just under 1,200 square feet. No problem. I'm quite content with living in a square 1,200. I don't need to have the biggest dick on the block. I don't. I leave that for you with the W990, right? When you pull into the truck stop, Chicken Hawk pulls it out and it goes, bam, there it is. I got the biggest dick in the truck stop. But I don't need that today. I don't need a big house. I don't need to keep up with the Joneses. I don't need the biggest, fanciest, nicest cars. I don't need any of that shit today. You know what? I'm quite content to live my life. When you're living that way and you've got the fucking massive square foot houses and you've got the big expensive cars and you've got all of the toys, you have to work like a motherfucker to pay for it all. You know what? Downsize that. I drive a modest car. We're going to be going to buy another SUV, but that's because we need a second vehicle. We drive a modest car. We're going to be buying another modest car. I live in a very modest home. My expenses are very manageable. And you know what? Because of that, we can afford to live well. Simple as that. Take ego and pride out of the living accommodation or out of the living aspect. Take your pride and your ego out of it. I can live quite comfortably and quite happily in a 12. I said it earlier, the only thing I miss is a garage. I don't have a garage on this house. Otherwise, I'd be sitting out there right now doing this live from there. But can I live without it? Absolutely. Do I need to have a garage on my house to make my life complete? Fuck no. I have all of that. Everything else I have that. Right, starting at the woman and the kids and right on down the line. I have everything in my life that I need to live very happily and very comfortably for the rest of my life. That's where I'm at. You don't need the big. You don't need the 200,000, 500,000. When you're buying and selling houses that are and you're bordering on $1 million this, $1 million that. You don't need it. If I was to buy this townhouse right now, it's $305,000 to $310,000. Right? That's what it costs. There's 3 of them in our complex, 4 of them in our complex that are for sale. Right? 2 of them are, I think 2 of them are 2 bedrooms, 2 of them are 3 bedrooms. The average price is going, I think the cheapest one is 305, the most expensive one is 315. $315,000. I take care of my body. I drink lots of water. Well, attaboy, you have to do it. I don't drink enough water, but I do take better care of my body. That's what I was looking at. Houses worth 200,000, roll the profit into another home. Even doing that, the note is too high. I don't want to ride a high note when I retire. Well, I don't. First of all, not first of all. Sorry, I keep saying that to you, Tara. Fuck, I'll stop saying to you. Tara, how old are you? Like, I don't know how old you are and how many years you have left to work, so I can't do the math on how much you should have on, um, on a mortgage. Um, all I'm going to say is you don't want to be house poor. I've had mortgages where my mortgage was like $2,700 a month. I've been there. I've had that. But I've also had the income to sustain something like that. Would I be wanting to pay a $200,000 more, or a $2,000 or a $2,500 a month mortgage now? I don't think I'd want to do. I could afford it, but do I want to do it? No, I don't think so. The mortgage for what it's actually better in my case right now. It's actually better for me to rent the house in the long run than it is for me to buy another house. Because if I was to buy a house, not including this one, but let's say I was buying a house for $500,000 or $600,000 or $700,000, you're going to be required to probably put a couple $100,000 or $100,000, or you would want to put $200,000 down on it. Right? On a $700,000 house or a $600,000 house, you're going to want to put $200,000 down on it because you don't want a fucking $3,000 a month car payment, mortgage payment. So you're going to put that down. But actually, I'm better off right now by taking that $200,000 that I'd put down on the house. I can take that $200,000 and invest it and get a better return on my money than I would if I kept the house for fucking any amount of time and made money on the house. The house will appreciate, but not as fast as the money I would make on that $200,000 if I invested it wisely. So it's actually better for me to take $200,000 and invest it, right? A long-term investing, and then it is to actually buy a house. I'm going to make more money at the end of the day. When the time comes for me to, fade off into the sunset, and Victoria and I have had enough of living here or living there, and we're going to fuck off and go live wherever we live, and we sell everything, I'm going to make more money off that investment than I would off the sale of my home. So at this time in my life, it's not worth it for me. I don't know if you're at that point. And you're obviously not 55 years old. I've seen what you look like. You don't look like a 55-year-old person. I drink lots of alcohol. Well, that's going to keep you well fermented when you die, right? You kind of look like Felix from Stray Kids. Don't know who that is. Over 2 liters of water a day is not good for you. No, you're only supposed to drink, what is it, Robert? I think it's only a liter. No, it's more than a liter. It's about 1.5 liters a day, depending on your activity level, right? Everything is also depending on your activity level. Exactly. Unless you're working and sweating a lot. I need to drink more water. All I really drink is dirty water, aka coffee. Rage character, I'm the same, buddy. I drink 2 coffees this size in the morning, and I probably drink about 2. Well, I was gonna not 2 liters of pop. I don't drink 2 liters of pop. I might, in the span of a day, I'll drink maybe 3 cans of this. So that was 250 mils. 355 milliliters. So let's say 3 of these is close to 1 liter. So that's about what, a third or a quarter of a gallon, whatever it is. I don't know. So I drink too much pop? Yeah, probably. Do I drink enough water? I don't know. I don't think so. The reason your sweat stinks is it has your piss in it. This is thanks, Robert. Fact checking, Robert. My next move is a 50 to 70 acre land and berry farm from fuck out farm the fuck out of it and be free of work by 45 to 50 years old. Nothing will stop me. Again, I love your attitude. I wish you the best of luck. Keep your nose down, keep going, it's not going to be that easy. You probably already know that. But if you can be free and clear by the time you're 45 and 50, get at it. But that's a lot of work ahead of you. Good on you, man. Congratulations if you do. If come back and call me when you're 50 and let me see where you're at. I just paid my CPA. It's been a wall of anxiety all morning, and I finally broke through it. Sent the money. I'm 48 and my birthday is in a few weeks. Well, happy birthday in a few weeks. So you're almost to the point, Ghost. Pay off your cars, pay off your bikes, right? Get everything paid off. Keep doing what you're doing and get everything paid off. Get it paid off to the best of your ability. And then get to the point where you're probably by that time you're 48. So by that time, let's say you'd be close to 55. Then sell the house. Sell the house and all the expenses that go with the ownership of a house. Sell your house. People hang on to their houses going, no, it's my investment. No, it's my retirement. No, it's a fucking anchor around your neck. It really is. Sell your house. Take the money, pay off whatever you have left owing on your mortgage. Then take the money and invest it wisely. Find some smart people. You got to know some. Okay. Find some smart people and invest that money. The return on the investment of that money that you will get will far exceed what you will make 10 years from now when you sell your fucking house. The math is not even close. Okay. You can take a 200, like I said, you can take a $200 or $300,000 investment and invest it for fucking 10 years. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass, but you can invest it for 10 years and pull that money out and see what your return on your investment is after 10 years. I don't mean pull it out, but you just see what your return on that investment is, what your investment is after 10 years. Or you can see what the value of your house is right now, sitting today, and see what in 10 years, what the value of that house is going to be. The return, the ROI on that fucking investment is going to be far exceed what you're going to make on your house. Stephanie is back. My God. Of course. You had to come back just as Chicken Hawk was here, right? I will keep you updated. I'm sure you will. Okay, let's give Stephanie and Chicken Hawk a moment, please. They're going to require a moment. Okay, you guys good? You guys done? I know, Chicken Hawk, it doesn't take you that long, right? You are literally a rodeo fuck. 8 seconds and you're bucked and done. So I sold my house. Well, I had to. The wife wanted her half. And I bought gold and silver and tripled my money already. Robert, thank you for proving my point. Thank you for proving my point. And Ghost, there's somebody who's done it as well. Okay. And as well, I'll never buy another house. I just will not buy another house. Foundation foundation and high camera angle also also fat fills wrinkles. I remember my grandma looked old at my age, but I was also but I was also young. Well, it's funny when you think about your grandparents, right? When I think about my nana, well, all my grandparents are passed away now, but my grandmother just passed away about a year and a half ago. And I remember her as being this fantastic, robust young woman. And, it's how we think of our grandparents when we were little as to how we think of them now. I still have the thought in my head of what my grandmother looked like when I was little. It doesn't matter what she looked like today. Foundation and high camera angles. Maybe are you hinting at me, Ghost? I should raise the camera up a little, get the camera up and have it looking down instead of I don't carry double chins, so I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying I don't. So I don't mind if I got a straight on camera angle or if it's actually looking up a bit. I'm not too worried about it. But if you're telling me I need to raise the camera angle a bit, maybe I should. Anyway, do me a favor, Stephanie, hit the like button. Josh Gaming, hit the like button. Chicken Hawk, I know I'm gonna have to send you $5, but hit the like button. Rage Character, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, throw a sub. If you like what you see. If you don't like what you see, don't sub. That's fine. I'm good with that, but at least stroke the like button. I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna bugger off for the day. It's what time is it? It's 11, coming up 11:30 my time, and I got some heavy lifting to do today. I got to move some goddamn air conditioners. Who's the fucking moron that put an air conditioner, a stand-up air conditioner upstairs on the third floor, and now it's got to go down to the basement? Oh, wait a minute, that was me. Yeah, so there's one on upstairs here that it's a stand-up that cooled the whole upstairs, and then there's one on the main floor, and they both got to go to the basement because it's only 8 degrees Celsius today. So that's like what, 40 degrees, something like that. Anyway, Josh, turn your notifications on. You haven't been around in a long, long time, man. So I think what's happened is your notifications have been turned off, and you weren't seeing it when I went live. That and for, like I said, for the last week, I went into YouTube jail last week, and my channel took a strike, so my notifications aren't going out. And I think I'm going to be under house arrest for at least another week or so. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, you know what, guys? Thanks. We've had, we got 3 hours. We got almost 4 hours into this today. I don't know. We've talked about a lot of good shit. We've done a little bit debating. We've done a little bit of discussing. I'm good with that. We've talked trucking. We've talked a little bit of politics. We've talked. Keep the shit coming. You know what? Subscribe so when I go live, you guys can come in. I love to hear what you're talking about. I love to know what you're thinking. I love to see guys like Josh that are out there, and they're young and they're hungry and they're fucking killing it. And they're going like a bat out of hell. I like to see that. I like to see, I make fun of Chicken Hawk, but he's a good man, and I know him personally, and I've met him, and I like to see guys like him that even at his age, with his amount of trucking, the years he's got more years trucking than I do, and he's still out there fucking pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits, and he's making very good money, and he's comfortable and happy, I like to see that too. So it doesn't matter if you're a young fucker and you're doing well and you're killing yourself, or you're an old bastard like Chicken Hawk. I love to see that kind of shit. Keep bringing it forward. I want to hear about it. Tyke, I love hearing from you. You know that. So Stephanie, I need you to know that I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to give you and Chicken Hawk approximately another 15 seconds to get your and your goodbyes. And guys, you know what? I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's Monday, so we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and let's do this again. Be good to each other. I'll see you down the road.